poverty. Did you know that? Had someone told you that? So the most advanced continent on the planet, the birthplace of Western civilization, our civilization, is getting much poorer very quickly. It's moving backward at high speed. Just a year ago, Europe was a modern place. For example, the overwhelming majority of Europeans heated their homes with natural gas, as modern people do. In Germany, the continent's richest country, only about 6% of households, most of them rural, heated with cordwood. And you'd expect that, given that, again, Germany is a modern industrialized country with central heating and indoor plumbing and all the other trappings of a society that has moved beyond the medieval period. Last year, only about 6% of Germans used wood to heat their homes, but that has changed dramatically. Demand for firewood in Germany has risen so fast that there is none left to buy.
Want to get it off your chest? You're in the right place. They accuse this show of being run by boobs. Well, let me tell you something about us boobs. We're real and we're spectacular. Want politics and fun? Sprinkled with a lot of laughs? Heard in every state in the Union and 770 cities around the world. We just finished our 13th year of broadcast excellence. Now in our 14th year, the Dave Weinbaum Show is streaming live all over the world. Those who fail to shepherd the herd tend to want to barbecue it. Fellow ultra MAGA semi-fascists, as Biden has pigeonholed us, lend me your ears while you still can. We have just had our lives threatened by a man because he can't do his job and never could. His policies have driven us into a hole so deep we may never recover. In his hate-filled screed last night, did he ever pause to wonder why 75% of Democrats want him out? Certainly, they're not ultra-MAGAs, Nazi wannabes. Was he threatening them in his staged red light special with two Marines bordering his unfathomable threats? Apparently, Dems are okay with the violence in our streets, the 570 riots in progressive cities, the defunding and killing of our police, the invasion at our borders with child and women trafficking, including the murders of young children so the cartels can sell their body parts, the Iran deal, the fraud of the election because the FBI killed the story of Hunter Biden's laptop in October before the election. The IRS 87,000 armed and ready to use deadly force. Apparently, Dems are okay with all this. They're okay. There's been enough fentanyl confiscated just in Arizona alone that could be used to kill 408 million Americans. In case you're from Branson, there's only about 320 million in the country. Did I miss that part of the speech where he talked about that? This man Joe Biden, has blocked and projected the hate he's received from all over the world to focus on approximately 90 to 100 million voters who think Trump was the best president ever. Since few of us own and fly armed F-135 jets, and he controls those and the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force to kill us, he's figured we'd be easy to subdue. But remember, it takes legs to run a marathon, but it takes heart to win a marathon. Or am I wrong? Hi there, welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. My name is Dave Weinbaum. I'm here with my lovely bride, Lisa Ann Weinbaum. I almost said Strausser, and that would have been not a good thing. I'm already...
It's fine. I was a Strausser for a lot of years.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed of it.
Okay, but with Lisa Ann Strausser, you'd just be a lass. A lass. Now you're the law with Lisa Ann Weinbaum. Ooh, that hurt. Kind of tickled. All right, that one hurt. All right, that's enough.
I am hoping that we take a lot less punishment from Facebook this week than we did last week, and the internet also. So,
well,
it was a rough week.
It was a rough week, but I don't know. You know, these things happen, and
our reach.
We had problems, but we're okay. We're fine. I can feel it. I feel it. You just keep going.
Well,
you have bad weeks, and it wasn't the show was bad.
No,
it was that we just were attacked, and then we went offline, and now we're back.
So
we're going to have a great show today, and I see a face that looks sort of familiar, and we're going to be talking to this gentleman. Oh, my God, I think he's losing weight. Look how handsome he is. Anyways, let me just announce a few things. We've got a great show again for you. I hope you have a great Labor Day weekend. I know a lot of people are going out of town. So that should be fun, and because we're staying in town, I think. Anyhow, let's talk about who's going to be on the show. Well, I got this apparently old young man staring at me. His name is J.J. Bradshaw, and then Rabbi Moshe Rothchild's coming on to talk about the Middle East. He can talk about an exclusive interview that Ben Shapiro had with Bibi Netanyahu. And we're going to have Chris Adamo up next, and he will be opening for Bill Hardwick. And then to cap it off, we got Elad Hakim, the last two of which are very excellent lawyers. We've got a lot of legal matters we want to talk about, especially via the raid at Mar-a-Lago. So while I did that, let's go right to J.J. Bradshaw's song.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise, playing in the street, gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face, you big disgrace, kicking your can all over the place, singing, we will rock you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this man is 254 years old, and he is a legend, not only from the Revolutionary War, but during latter years now that he is a veteran and also an expert on the Constitution, especially the Second Amendment. I want you to welcome a man who has to have a tinfoil hat to keep in all his knowledge, and he's going to give us a little sliver of that today. Please welcome all the way from Rolla, Missouri, John Jeffrey Bradshaw. Hello,
you,
JJ. How are you?
You know, Dave, I couldn't be better.
Oh, good.
You know, I really can't stand to look at Joe Biden, and I can't stand to listen to the man speak. makes me want to vomit. So I did not watch his speech last night. However, I did read the text of his speech in the New York Times this morning online. I can read his speech far faster than the bumbling idiot can give it. And some things I think that were noteworthy about that speech. The first half of that speech was beating up MAGA Republicans.
Yeah.
Essentially, Orange Man bad, people that follow Orange Man bad. We could have reduced that speech to a couple of sentences by just saying that.
You know, I have just a thing, JJ. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have just a thing for you. I was going to do that, but you brought it up, so let me just do this and get your comments afterwards. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the President of the United States of America, Joe Biden. All right, that was Joe Biden from last night. And we have a response. I'm sorry, bear with me, JJ. We have a response other than JJ's. This is from Josh Hawley. Senator Josh Hawley, hit it.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Thank you for being patient, JJ. What do you think?
Dave, I love that clip. That clip makes me chuckle every time I hear it.
Yeah.
You know, folks that listened to Biden's speech last night, I was certainly not one of them, and actually believed it or got IQs headed for room temperature really fast.
Who would believe that when everything else is going so wrong in this country?
Well, I don't know. You know, the first 2/3 of that, as I said, Orange Man bad. Followers of Orange Man bad.
Yeah.
And sprinkled in that, this clown who stole the presidency threw in words like unity. He kind of sprinkled them in there. They really weren't in any spot that would cause anybody to believe that he was aiming at unity. So this man is spewing this divisive, terrible, terrible stuff, ultra MAGA bad, Orange Man bad, and at the same time saying we're deplorable, yet we need to have unity. Well, how does that happen? Does that mean that us patriots need to just surrender and allow these folks to steamroll us? I don't think so.
I don't think that's good enough. I don't think it's actually big enough for him just for us to follow along these days. I think it's worse.
Well, it is worse.
Yeah.
This is as bad as this country has ever been.
Pretty much.
The last third of this speech that this clown spewed actually touched on some things, COVID for one, but he never offered any solutions and he never offered any explanations. All there was a sprinkling of words, kind of randomly dropped into this speech. Was this thing incoherent? He's been more incoherent before. But if you look at this thing, this was written by somebody else, of course. All the clown was doing was reading a teleprompter. But this wasn't even a very well-written speech. If you look at the stuff that Reagan did, look at the stuff that Trump did, those speeches were outstanding. They actually had content. They had direction. What I read in the New York Times this morning, the text of this speech, was nothing but the rambling bumblings of a fool. Now, I'm glad I didn't watch that speech. I'd like my intelligence to stay above 100.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid had I watched that speech, it would be headed towards room temperature as we speak. So I'm glad I missed it. Dave, I hope you didn't watch it. I hope you read the text.
I read some of the highlights, because I just thought I had to do it for the show. And did you see the setting he was in?
I did not. I didn't watch this.
Yes, you didn't. Well, it was dark. It was outside. It was in Philadelphia, I believe, and there was two Marines right behind him, sort of like looking very dark red, and it was like ominous. I mean, it was really there to scare somebody, like us. Our semi-fascist ultra MAGAs.
Dave, are you aware that there is a rule in the military about wearing your uniform at political events?
I heard that.
These two Marines were ordered to be there in their dress uniforms at what is clearly a political event.
Yep.
Nothing but the sleaziest of politics. Now, I wonder, are these guys going to get court-martialed for this by being ordered by this boob to stand at either side of him? I don't know.
What do you
kind
think?
of an interesting problem.
I don't think they will. I mean, he's the commander-in-chief. He can order anything. And nobody's going to touch him yet. So, we'll see how it goes.
What do you do when you're smarter than your commander-in-chief? Well, I guess
There's been plenty of that. Yeah.
Now, I have something else. This is a two-topic event for me today.
Okay, let's do it.
And I think they're two fairly big ones. I don't know if you read the Epic Times or not. I subscribe to it. And their online version this morning had some pretty damning stuff in it. This is regarding censorship by big tech.
Yeah.
There are more than 50 government officials, and they published the truth. They published the facts. 50 government officials out of 12 agencies who were involved in what's called a censorship enterprise. And that is government coercing big tech into censoring what they consider to be misinformation.
Now, is this a meeting they're having like every month or so with the tech companies to convince them?
Well, this is a variety of conversations.
Yeah, I just heard that this morning.
It's a continuum,
yeah,
not an event. But God bless our country. God bless our state. Missouri and Louisiana sued Joe Biden about big tech censorship. Those documents are front page. If you look up Epic Times, you'll find that it's there. A whole bunch of documents. Many are redacted. Some are ridiculously redacted. But there's pretty damning allegations there, naming names and naming agencies that suggest that our government, particularly the executive branch and those under its control, were strong-arming big tech into censoring folks like you or me.
Well, that's still going on. You know that.
About COVID.
That's still going on. Still going on. All right. And we had a bunch of it last week, it seemed.
Our reach.
Well, this suit was filed 8/31.
Yeah.
So we're talking stuff that's very current and very relevant. And if you read through those documents, there's, 72 of them, I think, or 72 pages. And you go past the redactions. What this thing suggests is that our federal government, who ought to be neutral in these things, freedom of speech, First Amendment, as we all know, is in collusion with big tech, Facebook, Twitter, etc., to suppress our speech.
Of course
to
they are.
Suppress those dissenters.
Yeah.
It's actually on paper, Dave. It's not just an allegation at this point. There is.
They had the Ministry of Truth. Did they actually get rid of the Ministry of Truth yet?
They did.
Or just a person that was in there? Are they going to get another person? Yes, we
officially,
know.
The Ministry of Truth is dead.
You know
why that died?
Why?
The public outcry and the pressure that was put on the executive branch for this outrageous, Orwellian, insane branch of government I'm afraid they just couldn't handle it. They couldn't stand the pressure. The public pressure was so adverse, they finally quietly said, nah, maybe this is not such a good idea.
Well, we know because of Twitter, and we know because of Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg, appearing before Joe Rogan, admitted the FBI throttled him in terms of responding to the laptop, Hunter Biden laptop in the New York Post. And and then Twitter dumped on it totally for a long time. And therefore, the election, many people never saw it. They banned the New York Post, the oldest newspaper in America. And then later on, after the election, they all said, oh, wait a minute, that New York Post story about or Hunter Biden's laptop, it was true. That means they threw the elections right there. You don't need 2,000 mules. You don't need the Dominion machines. Right there is where they threw that election.
Zuckerberg is not an innocent in this thing, Dave.
No.
There's no question about willing collusion. He's in it with the rest of them. And if he claims that he's somehow been coerced into doing this, I'm sorry, but that doesn't wash. No, he's on the same side as the propagandists.
Sure.
Now, how does that affect you and me? Well, you're much more vocal than me. You've got your own show, for Pete's sake. I've read the stuff you've written. It's good stuff.
Thank you.
And we're being suppressed. First Amendment being crushed.
Right.
Why? Because we are the vocal opposition. We don't want the socialism. We're not going to drink the Kool-Aid. We're not going to stand up and take the pledge.
I'll tell you why. It's because of the deep contrast between Donald Trump, who was America first, who was doing the right things for the country no matter what, calling it like he saw it with the mainstream media, and every other president we've had in history, all the way back to probably Truman. Everyone else was part of the swamp, and it's gotten so big that even Trump didn't understand how big it was, and they know that this guy will come back if allowed to, and he might just do something to them and really screw them up, because he could do it.
The lid is off Pandora's box at this point.
Huh?
The lid is off Pandora's box.
Yeah, we all know now. There's no question about it.
That's right. We do know.
Yeah.
And if you look at the primaries just held, there's a whole bunch of, at least in theory, MAGA folks that have been elected their party's representative for the November elections.
Yeah.
Let me give you just a bit of a prophecy.
Ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't know what that is a tinfoil yarmulke. He is monitoring how much information he can give to me via this yarmulke he's wearing.
I am a Gentile, but I'll
Yes.
wear this because I've got to keep some of this information inside my head,
Yes.
lest I be banned from your show.
That would never happen.
Here is the prediction that I
Yeah.
have, the prophecy, if you will.
Okay, please.
November midterm elections, we take the House. We take it by a pretty good margin.
Yeah.
Senate, maybe not.
I think we take
All
that
of
too.
all of this is a prelude, though, to either Trump running again or the Florida governor running in his place or some conservative non-rhino Republican. And I think they're going to win.
Yeah.
Now, what happens then is you get a Republican president, hopefully a very conservative one like Donald Trump or DeSantis, or there are others. And you've got a Congress, a House of Representatives, that is not averse to draining the swamp.
Yeah.
The only reason Trump didn't get it drained is because of the clowns like Nancy Pelosi and the other folks who were absolutely unwilling to give up any of their power, any of their corruption, and were unwilling for any of it to ever see the light of day.
Yeah.
Now, you got Donald Trump, who's got a very vested interest in blowing smoke up the skirt of these folks. And my prediction is this. I think Trump will run again.
Yeah.
I think he will pull the plug, and the swamp will become a very dry and dusty place.
I hope so. Well, that's a hope. You know they're going to be fighting this all the way because they know they're culpable. This isn't just about
fighting it,
this isn't just about Donald Trump. It's about
force of the Department of Justice against them, like they are using against us.
They are scared to death. They know they're culpable. They know they're criminally involved. They know the DNC conspired over the Russia thing to get rid of the president. And even the FBI is not only are they culpable. Did you see that spread that they had on the floor of Mar-a-Lago with pictures? Wait a minute. That stuff they're claiming is classified, some of it very heavily classified, and they're showing this stuff. They know the color codes now. They could read the front sides of the pages if they have equipment that can go through these pages and see exactly what's in every page. They just gave that all to our enemies. That's the FBI, I'm saying, is guilty of espionage.
Our Department of Justice is so corrupt. I think they ought to remove justice from the title because there is no justice being had.
Well,
from that department.
There's double justice. It's two-tiered. It's
there's two tiers, and I'm afraid you and I are on the tier that loses.
Yeah, well, but you and I are on the side that's not going to take this. We're going to fight back. So
isn't that interesting, Dave? That over the years we have said, when's this going to stop? And we're fighting back vocally. Yeah. At what point does it become non-vocal? I don't know.
I think
in my lifetime.
When one guy gets up there and makes a speech threatening 100 million people, 100 million voters, I think we're pretty close. Do you recall the video of the young man who stood in front of the tank at Tiananmen Square?
Yes. You recall what happened after that?
Tell me, because I know you got better information.
It was a quiet revolution in China.
Yeah.
The fact that young man stood up against that tank started a movement in China that is still occurring today, although it's been heavily suppressed by the Chinese government. That was one fellow that started that.
Yeah. And, you look at our heroes. You look at McCluskey and his wife, Patricia. Mark McCluskey standing there with the AR-15 and her little pistol. And the fact that they stood off 350 rioters who were screaming they were going to kill him, rape and kill his wife, and burn their house down, and the police wouldn't come.
That's right.
Okay, and also Kyle Rittenhouse. What a brave kid this is. All he did was protect his own ass. I mean, he was being chased, and people were trying to shoot him. They were kicking him in the head, and he turned out to be a real hero. That's an American who has a right to bear arms, not only, but also to protect himself.
Recognize that the McCluskeys were dealing with a police force that was under the direction of Kim Gardner.
Right.
Kim Gardner was a Bloomberg bought and paid for prosecuting attorney who said, no, let's let these rioters go.
Yep.
Let's not go to defend the folks who are trying to defend their property and their lives. This is right from the top in St. Louis.
Yep.
And it's happening all over this nation. Bloomberg bought and paid for prosecutors. It's a backdoor to get in and violate.
Well, this is it's not Bloomberg as much as it is Soros.
Well, Soros, that cabal of moneyed interests who have no interest in providing you the rights that are constitutionally yours.
Okay, my friend, we gotta get going. I gotta do some. I gotta sell some things, and I'd love to talk to you all day, but we got to get going. We got to do commercial. We got the rabbi coming on next. But you are a great opening act. Let's hear it for John Jeffrey Bradshaw. Yeah.
I love these conversations.
Yeah, as do I. I wish it could be longer, but I got some time restrictions. Anyways, thank you, JJ. Isn't he terrific? I think we do commercial. What do you think? Let's do it, and please spend your money at where my people are. I do business with all these people and spend money with them, and I would love for you to do that too. They've been loyal, and we know we get dumped on every once in a while by social media. I can tell this week I think we're being left alone a little bit, I hope, and it looks like we get some decent viewership coming on. And I also pass out these podcasts with the commercials in them. So I send them out all over the place, locally and otherwise. So if you want to actually sponsor the show, it's 573-578-2700, which coincidentally is the show phone too. 573-578-2700. Hit it.
Honey, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're filling up a swimming pool.
Yep, I'm filling up a swimming pool.
In our living room?
How else am I going to watch the game and stay cool?
If your AC is on the fritz, call Hartley's Climate Control. Hartley's is the area's best in HVAC repairs, installs, and maintenance. Knowledgeable, honest, and dependable. Serving Rolla and the surrounding areas for commercial or residential needs. Hartley's Climate Control. Community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Kent's Jewelry does custom engravings for almost anything. Awards, signs, guns, swords, mugs, yetis, and knives. Kent is the premier custom jeweler in mid-Missouri. We have a great staff, the technology, and equipment to create what you dream for, jewelry and engraving. Kent's Jewelry, 907 North Pine, downtown Rolla, 573-364-1030. That's 573-364-1030. Locally owned. Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about Koi Sushi and Hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping, too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
At your locally owned Price Chopper, our standards are high because we know yours are. See for yourself what an incredible fresh selection of grocery items we have in store. Talk to our expert meat associates about what you're looking for. They're happy to meet any special requests like custom cuts, or see our expert produce associates on how to pick out the best fruits and vegetables. Quality in the deli means fresh, full flavor, and always delicious. If you're craving fresh, baked goodness, we have that too. You can expect the best selection and the best value while interacting with our friendly and knowledgeable employees. You can find what you're looking for fast and easily at the best prices at Price Chopper Fresh Savings every day.
At Town & Country Bank, we've got all the perks of a national bank, like online banking, quick loan approval, and you can deposit your check from your phone. But that's not why our customers love us. They love us because we still offer hometown customer service. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly team remind you how special hometown banking can be. We're locally owned and will take the time to understand your needs. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the #1 sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have. Okay, we're back. And, oh my goodness, Gene Bradshaw. J.J. Bradshaw's better half is watching. Should I be nervous? I don't know. I'm a little scared. Pamela Tanner, good morning. Looking good, sounding good. Say hi to Patrick. The worst half there. And Tim Owens. Tim Owens is watching. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. And Kathy Sanford Dillon, the one who coined the phrase Friday. Good morning. Happy Friday. How about that? So we got a good. Looks like we got pretty good numbers so far. So we're all on edge and we're ready to go. We have a great show, and I think right now we should do the. I think we should do the basketball thing. What do you think?
Oh, that would be a good one.
Yeah. Should hit that.
I noticed I read where you scored about 20 points a game.
That's right.
That's amazing. How can you possibly score 20 points a game?
Basically, most of my points are scored from the foul line. John, what I do is I wait until the other team gets the ball.
Right.
Then I just run down to the other end. Then I set up my position like this.
Right.
And then they just run into me, bang, like this. And then I pretty much...
Well, that's intriguing.
Right.
But do you ever actually get to handle the ball during the game?
I do. Once in a while, they'll get it to me. I'm pretty doggone good, the ball handler. I'm short, but once they get it to me, I got it. It's hard.
That's amazing. Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Well, I guess... I would imagine. I guess at your height, you actually see a different game than the other players.
Johnny, at my height, I not only see a different game, I smell a different game.
Well, I don't understand what you mean.
Well, I'm dealing mostly in shoes and socks.
Oh, yeah.
I see what I mean. See, so beginning of the season, it's not too bad. But as that season goes on, we're talking a waffle, By the time I get to the finals, I can take the enamel right off
your breath.
Like that, right, sir.
Pretty darn good. I don't know how you like that. Hey, Owen McNamee. Good morning, folks. What a good friend he's become. He pushes the show on Twitter like crazy. Anything I send him, he moves out. And I've got a lot of people like that on Twitter. So I really appreciate that. Thanks a lot, guys. Let's talk a little bit, huh?
There we go.
Oh, hey, scary. Yeah, hey, it's time for Guess Who? The rabbi. So we're going to play his song a little bit, and then we'll talk to him. How's that?
Yeah, 1 second, Dave. You were talking to another rabbi? sounds like you're cheating on me.
No, actually, I'm cheating with you on him because he was the first rabbi. Listen to this. I got rabbis fighting over me. This is kind of weird. Ladies and gentlemen, Baker, candlestick maker, especially before the Sabbath. A nonprofit prophet, future rabbi to the Trump Third Temple Hotel, Golf Course, Casino, and Spa. Please welcome all the way from Efrat, Israel, Rabbi Moshe Rothchild. So Israel has airstrikes at Aleppo Airport in Syria. Are they attacking Iran or Syria? Who is their puppet?
Yeah, well, I mean, they are attacking Iran. They're doing everything. Israel's doing everything in our power to prevent Iran from getting a foothold to establish a border with Israel. As you know, on the map, Iran does not have a border with Israel, but if they if they infiltrate into Syria, they will. But what was big news this week was that when Israel bombed Syria, up until now, Israel has had free reign of the skies, even though Russia is really the one controlling Syria. And Russia actually fired anti-aircraft missile at Israeli jets.
Wow.
Although Israeli jets were never in danger because they're not able to lock on. Their systems are not as good as the Israeli jets, and they were never in danger. But that is a real escalation with Russia, trying to.
So what does Russia have against Israel? For goodness sakes, I mean, they just. I thought you guys were okay for a while. In fact, weren't you guys in the center of talking between Russia and the Ukraine about peace?
Right. So it has everything to do with the Ukraine, and that Israel has done things that Russia doesn't like, including providing some equipment to the Ukrainians, including making statements against the Russians by Lapid. So, this is Russia's way of retaliating. I imagine the Russians knew that they were not able to shoot down Israeli planes, but they were just firing for making, the sake of making a statement more than anything. Right.
Well, that's big news. New York Times, Peter Beinart questions the fight against anti-Semitism. Did you hear that? He questions the fight against anti-Semitism as a threat against freedom. He's aligning the Jewish state to be compared to China, Iran, Saudi Arabia. Your thoughts?
Well, Peter Beinart, as far as I know, he's Jewish, and I don't know if he still does it. He was in charge of the religion section in the New York Times, and that was he actually interviewed me once many years ago when I won New York's Funniest Rabbi, and the New York Times did an article. I think it was like in the early 90s, 93, 94, something like that. And Peter Beinart was the head of the religion section. So that was my interaction with him. But of course, the New York Times trips over themselves to be anti-Israel, as does the BBC and all the other, most of the major newspapers. The Wall Street Journal is pretty good, but nothing surprises me coming out of the New York Times. It's just a rag that's trying to remain relevant in a world that quickly went digital. They were kind of left behind and trying to play catch up, and they don't like to have competitors in this anti-Israel sphere, so they have to do whatever they can.
But they're not. They're a Jewish-owned company, aren't they?
They certainly were. I'm not sure if now they are. I think they are.
Yeah. They don't act like it.
No. Well, yeah, they do, because most Jews in America bend over backwards to show how fair they are.
Why?
So to speak.
I don't understand that. I mean, I just don't understand why we do that to
They're
ourselves.
called ginos, where they're Jews in name only.
But why would they do? I just don't get why they do that. There's never been any temptation on my part to hide what I am or be ashamed of it. And yet they seem to be ashamed of it.
Jews are afraid of being accused of having two loyalties, one to the United States and one to Israel. So they want to demonstrate how anti-Israel they are, so they'll never be accused of what's called a dual loyalty.
Yeah,
which is an absurdity. It's usually a sign of Jews who are not proud, of Jews who feel they have to cower in shame.
Well, it's impractical too, because if it ever becomes like to where they're killing Jews here, where are they going to go? They hate Israel. Yeah. They've already said it. Why would Israel take them?
I mean, look, you have many Christians, as you know and I do, that love and support Israel, and and that's fine. No one's accusing them of a dual loyalty. Right. And you're allowed to love and support others. In addition, it's not like having a wife, where you can't. When you have a wife, you really shouldn't love someone else in the same way you love your wife, and treat her and act towards her in the same way. But it's not the same.
My wife is not listening, thank God. How about yours?
But it's not the same when it. I saw that look there.
Wait a minute. Wait, is the maid there?
It's not the same when it comes to countries.
Yeah.
You can love your country, and it's not a contradiction to love Israel. Or you have many Italian Americans that love their homeland where they came from, when they were born and raised in Italy or wherever. Or you have illegal immigrants who love Guatemala. I mean, it's that was a joke. I mean,
they're all living in New York now. Hey, Israel and Japan signed a defense agreement in Tokyo. So if China invades Japan, what does Israel do?
Well, I think we would probably boycott the General Chow's chicken. That would be the first thing we would do.
Yeah. Really?
And
so eat only Japanese sushi or what?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I hope General Chow would not get involved, on the military level and stick to making.
Well, if you come up with something, we could always have a Ben and Jerry's scoop today.
Yeah. Well. Well, I think I'm stuck in the sesame noodles right now. But,
okay. All right. So seriously though, why are they? Yeah. Who's going to defend who? Is Japan going to defend Israel? How is Israel going to defend Japan?
Yeah, I look. Israel can. One thing Israel can always do is to supply intelligence.
Yeah.
To supply on the ground knowledge, and strategy. Israel's very good at fighting against countries that are way, way bigger. Israel is good at being outnumbered and somehow managing to win. So we definitely have a lot of real world experience, and Israel has a lot to offer all of our allies, even the United States, which at once was a great ally of Israel, but it was pretty much a one-way relationship. But those days are long gone, where Israel buys, say, planes from the United States, the F-35s, the stealth bombers, upgrades them, and then the technology is sold back to the United States. So, Israel's a very reliable ally.
Sure.
And, we're a country of 9 million people, a very small country, yet with the 8th ranked military in the world. I mean, we are ahead of some major, major countries. So Israel's a sought after ally.
Yeah, great. But, what's Biden doing right now? He's paying off the Palestinians, and he's going to sign an Iran deal that's not going to be good for Israel. We all know that.
Right. It's going to be terrible for Israel. But, we said last week, Israel has reserved the right to do whatever in her interest, and we're not signing on to anything. So.
Well, here's something that's unifying between Israel and the Arabs, and that is they play backgammon with each other all over Jerusalem. What the heck is that about?
Well, these kinds of I didn't see the article or what you're referring to, but these kinds of things, non-military, are always good ways of building bridges.
Sure.
And we have all kinds of things like that just don't make it in the news. Like you would never see the headlines of a newspaper saying, it's going to be sunny today. That's not going to sell papers. But if it says there's an impending storm, everyone wants to know what's going on.
All right, well, that's too nice of a story then. Let's go on to the next one.
Yeah.
Netanyahu interviewed by Ben Shapiro. Apparently his father, he actually predicted the Holocaust in 1933 at the age of 23. And he focused on America. He focused on Israel back then, and came here, I guess. And then he also, at a very young age, told the people that were wanting for Israel to become an independent state that the place to go is not Europe, it's not Great Britain, but it was America. And so he took on the American Senator Taft, and also took on Eisenhower because Roosevelt wouldn't agree that Israel should be a state. Is that about sum it up?
Yeah, that's pretty good. And it was an amazing interview. You always, or at least I've always and only seen Netanyahu within the context of government. I never saw such a long interview when he's not the prime minister, and just sort of reflecting upon his life, his family. His father used the word Holocaust, he said, even.
Yeah.
It wasn't that it's pretty specific. His father was known as a brilliant man. I think his father died, he was like 103, 104. It wasn't even that long ago he died. And he was a professor. That's one of the reasons why Netanyahu speaks English so well, is because his father was a professor in the States and Netanyahu went to MIT. And so, he speaks English with a perfect American accent. And Netanyahu, if you heard, he was the first Israeli prime minister born in Israel.
Well, that's incredible. And it's also incredible because I didn't know anything about his father before that. I didn't know anything about his history other than he's just the leader of Israel.
Right.
And
his father probably would have been a much better guest on your show than I am. He sounds like
in terms of predicting stuff, my goodness, he predicted the Holocaust in 1933.
Yeah.
Okay, that's and you know what? I'm getting worried about America right now with the ultra MAGA and semi-fascist. According to Joe Biden, I'm a semi-fascist. I must really hate myself.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I wore yesterday, Dave. You gave me a backwards MAGA hat. And I did. I wore it yesterday. I wore it once on a Bucks tour. Yeah. And I almost got fired here.
Really?
Yes. The tour operator, the company called me and said, "Don't ever wear that hat again." It was American tourists, and they complained.
Oh, I'm surprised.
I learned something interesting.
It's a backwards MAGA thing. I'm surprised they could read it. You must have been standing in front of a mirror.
I was shocked that they can read backwards.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, in Hebrew, we read right to left.
That's right. Yeah, backwards, right to left, it's probably the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So he technically needs a straight MAGA hat, and that way they can't read it then, right?
They'll never know.
Yeah, see, there you go.
They won't be able to see it. We got two sitting here in the office. We got two sitting here in the studio. Yep. I can't call it an office anymore. It's a studio.
You know what, Dave? One of the most famous Israeli artists is a guy named Agam, Agam.
Yeah, Agam.
Maybe he was a secret, MAGA supporter.
Yeah, all right, there you go. All right, so is there any Ben and Jerry scoops today?
No, other than Ben and Jerry's got shot down again. Did we talk about
that? No, I'm
week?
not sure.
Yeah.
But they got shot down by who?
Ben and Jerry's appeal to the courts in the U.S. trying to stop their parent company, Unilever, from allowing sales of Ben and Jerry by selling off the name and the company to the Israeli licensee.
Good.
And the New York judge shot it down and said, nope.
So the Jewish founders of Ben and Jerry, who sold out to Unilever, is that right? Now Unilever is selling the name to the Jewish franchisee in Israel,
right?
And they objected to that.
Yeah.
No, that's irony right there.
Yeah,
and they wanted Israel boycotted. They wanted Israel boycotted, right?
Right, and the non-Jewish owners of Unilever are fighting for the Jewish state.
These guys are, you know what? They're just stupid. Ben and Jerry, okay, they invented great ice cream. And then what happened to them? Did they lose their mind? Are they on permanent brain freeze from eating too much ice cream?
I guess so. I mean,
my God.
History has shown that you may win temporary battles against Israel or the Jewish people, but if you're playing the long game, don't mess with the Jewish states and the Jewish people.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find and contribute to you?
They can go to our website, IsraelAlliance.org, or Facebook.com/Israel Alliance. We'd love to hear from you.
You know, Rabbi, I used to sell wool sweaters and socks until I was fleeced by the Lamb Union. Ladies and gentlemen, Rabbi Moshe Rothchild.
All right.
So that was you didn't give me a.
That was for the rabbi.
I know that. At least I didn't get crickets.
I was nice, but just that one kind of fell on that.
He thinks he's being Israel. He thinks he's being neutral right now by doing that. All right?
No, I'm just enjoying all the power I've got here on the board.
He's got power. Let me tell you, I don't do crickets. I don't do applause. I don't do anything. He's got total control over that. I don't even know where the buttons are. All right, Rabbi.
We call that job security.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Right, Shabbat shalom. Hi to Yoni and the kids.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye. All right. That's Rabbi Moshe Rothchild. He's a lot of fun. And he's been doing the show for 12 years. Isn't that something? You know, it's almost like a little fraternity. It's not a fraternity because there are women involved too. What would you call that?
A SRAT, I guess. For sorority and frat, kind of combining them there.
I don't know. I've never heard of anything like that.
I guess have to think about that one.
Like a club. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, sororities don't have men in them, and maybe these days they do. And certainly
they could be in there now. Yeah,
fraternities don't have women in there, but again, maybe they do. I don't know. So, but isn't it something that all the people in my limited world, which is getting bigger and bigger, you know. I mean, and I got guests like Dick Morris and Cheryl Chumley. They're big, influential guests, and they seem to make friends with other people in my realm. And coming up, we've got Chris Adamo, and he's one of those. He's out there he's out there passing stuff from me. He's passing stuff from Cheryl Chumley, from Elad Hakim. His wife is Amy Hakim. She's a good friend, and they're all friendly. It's like a little family. Mm-hmm. You know, wouldn't you say that? A little professional family.
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
because we're all on the same mission and all that. We all have the same idea,
and
we're fighting a common enemy too. So
some of them, like Jeff Zink and the rabbi, they've stayed at our house. Jeff Zink got out there and helped me direct traffic at McDonald's one day with his cowboy hat on.
That would have been interesting to see. I wish I would have seen that.
Yeah, we should take more pictures, but you know what? I'm too lazy. All right. Let's do a couple of clips from, let's see, where do I want these from? I want to do clip 13 because I want people to understand with Biden getting up there and yelling about, he didn't do this yesterday, but he did it before. I don't think he did it yesterday. About the police. He supports the police. How dare we say that he doesn't support the police? The problem is every Democrat out there practically says defund the police, and they're still saying it. Hit it.
So we've been talking about defunding the police.
There's some issues that we ask police to do, like mental health issues or policing in schools and all the rest, that perhaps we can shuffle some of that money around.
Suck it up. Defunding the police has to happen. We need to defund the police.
Mayor Eric Garcetti saying, take some of the money from policing, about $150 million.
I applaud Eric Garcetti for doing what he's done.
Not only do we need to disinvest in police, but we need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
So yes, defund your butts. Defund you.
Yes, I support the reallocation of resources from NYPD.
We will be moving funding from the NYPD to youth initiatives and social services.
They are talking about reducing the allocation of resources to that department, and I think every single city in this country ought to be thinking about the same thing.
Yes, I support the defund movement. I'm for responsible reallocation of resources.
How stupid can a whole party be? How stupid. Look at all the deaths just in the black neighborhoods. And now they're coming out and, they're defunding the police in various communities other than black neighborhoods, other than Latino neighborhoods. Now they're in stores and they're robbing things, not just blacks, but others. And nobody wants to put them in jail. They tolerate it to the extent that they get them out on bail. One guy got out on bail. He had attacked his wife 6 times, and he cut off his ankle bracelet, and because he was bailed out by a liberal group. And she's scared to death. Sure enough, he shows up at her house, stabs her, and then chokes her to death in front of his kids. So this is not good, and they continue to have this mantra, like the police are so evil. But who's suffering? I mean, it's them. It's not them. It's people in the community who need the police. They need police, and most people in the community understand that. And it's not just the gang wars; it's the crossfire. They're killing so many young children, little boys, little girls, and it's so sad. And it's been going on in Chicago for so long. At least in New York, it's under Rudy Giuliani stopped it. And then Blumenthal came on, and he sort of, he kept it going in terms of stopping the crimes against black on blacks in the black areas. But it was really Giuliani that said we have to show a strong presence in the community. We have to nip crime in the bud so it doesn't grow, and it worked. He cleaned up New York pretty quick. It's not like it's impossible to do. But now, look at Lori Lightfoot. Oh my God, in Chicago, what a disaster. And she's kvetching because she got 75 people in a plane from Texas. So she calls the Texas governor Abbott a racist because he sent brown people, not black people, but he sent brown people, mostly Southern Americans, some Mexicans, to Chicago. And boy, what a terrible thing! And they all come off and waved, and they're happy as hell to be in Chicago. I got news for them being from Chicago. That's going to be short-lived. You're not going to like it there. I don't see it. I try not to go back if I can. It's bad memories. I mean, some of them are good, but still. But that black thing going on the south side and the west side of Chicago, that's been going on for since the early 60s. I know. My father had liquor stores in that area. He used to have hold the meetings for, I forget what the name of the gang was, for the original gang there, though. Blackstone Rangers, that's what it was. And they used to meet in the basement of one of his stores. So it's just incredible what's going on. And they were a lot better. They weren't that as violent as they are today. It's terrible. Terrible.
I'd seen on Facebook, and I can't find it again. Somebody else had posted it to their Facebook when I saw it, but there is a sheriff's department in Clay County. I don't believe it's in Missouri. I think it's somewhere else.
Yeah. Hi there. Welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello? Pick up your phone.
I am.
What's the matter with you? Are you
I'm
okay?
slow.
You're slow? You
Yeah,
called
I'm slow.
me.
It's Friday.
You called me.
I know.
What did you do? Drop your phone?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I figured. Oh my gosh, Joanne, would you make sure this guy stops drinking this early in the morning? For goodness sakes, hide the bottle. So what can I do for you today?
What can I say?
I don't know.
We went grocery shopping the other day.
Yeah.
You know, Joanne, and she met a friend of hers at the store, and they were sitting there talking, and I'm sitting there listening to this and listening to that, and I'm looking over. There's this cute little babe over there. So I'm looking at this cute little babe, and the other lady that was talking to Joanne says, "Gee, I don't know. Joanne is sitting there, or Elephant's sitting there staring at this woman. Doesn't that bother you?" She said, "No." Joanne said, "No, that don't bother me."
Yeah.
She said, "Why not?" He says, "Well, sooner or later she's got to quit sucking that gut in."
Oh, that's just sad.
I know. I'm
all I can tell you is this, buddy. This is a little friendly advice. Even the luckiest rock can't skip on water forever. So
That's
I don't care
right.
how much you suck your gut in, you're gonna sink pretty soon, pal. All right, that's good advice for you. So
There you go.
Stay off the lake unless it's ice.
So I suppose you had to listen to the Big Cheese last night.
Well, I did listen to some of it. Yeah, we talked about it all morning. If you'd listened to the show, you'd know that.
Yeah. Well, I have a hard time listening to him.
Well, no, he wasn't on the show. Should we give him another? Should we? Well, you know what? I like you, so I'm going to give you another little sample of what he said yesterday. It's only a 30-second bit.
Oh, okay.
So here is President. Here's the president, Joe Biden, last night.
I didn't know you were multilingual.
It wasn't me. That was Biden.
Yeah, I know.
Who knew he was
But
multilingual?
You had to interpret it.
So, it was what? That had more substance than the actual speech had. I mean, it was terrible. Oh, my gosh.
It's one lie after another. That's all it is anymore.
Well, it's not so much that it was all a lie. It's as much as that he threatened about 100 million people. That would be the ultra MAGA semi-fascist. Did you know I'm a semi-fascist now? I hate myself, but it's only semi.
Oh, okay.
So I guess I'm okay. Well, if you're a fascist, you got to hate Jews, don't you?
There you go.
That's the definition of a fascist. He hates Jews. So now Biden has accused me of hating myself.
Well, just to give you an idea how anti-everything they are, he turns Afghanistan loose. The Taliban take over.
Right.
They hate women, but yet he's all for women.
Yeah, how about that? He's all for women, and now Iran. He's going to make a deal with Iran? Same thing with women that the Taliban has. It's the same whole deal. But he wants to be buddies with Iran. Barack Obama is running the show here. You know
I know.
that, right? All right.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
I've been good. I've been trying to be good all week.
Yeah.
In fact, I've been so good. I haven't even told any blonde jokes. I have more respect for blondes than that.
Yeah. So are you going to tell one now or what?
Nope.
Oh.
You're listening to one. Why would I tell her a joke?
Oh my God. Okay. Well, listen. I got to go. Thank you so much.
You have a great week.
You too. My sympathies. I mean, say hello to Joanne.
Your sympathies to Joanne.
Yeah.
Correct.
No, I didn't say that. Did I say that?
No.
No, I sort of started that way, but no,
You would never say that. You would never.
I'd never say that while you could hear me. Let's put it that way.
There you go.
Good luck, Joanne. Bye. Okay. All right. Well, that was funny, sort of. Anyways, in 5 minutes, we're going to have Chris Adamo, who is now going to be opening the show up for Bill Hardwick. We haven't seen him in a while. He's been busy. He's a great guest, by the way. Bill.
Yep.
Bill is. I like people that come with an idea what they want to talk about. Chris does that, and so does. Let's see. Bill Hardwick does that, and Dick Morris does that. I like that because I don't know him. Dick Morris is a pretty big celebrity.
Yep.
Okay, and apparently he's one of Donald Trump's best friends. Donald Trump calls him up all the time.
He said on the show just the last time he was on last week, only guy in New York that likes his landlord.
Yeah, and apparently Trump likes him and thinks he knows a lot, which he does, by the way. I mean, you can't have the experience that he had with the Clintons. And I don't know. He sort of said nice things about Hillary, but I don't know how could he think like that. He thinks they are middle of the road Democrats. Well, they're not anymore.
No,
they're not
definitely
anymore. Not. And he says he was a Democrat. And he didn't leave the Democratic Party. They left him, and it's a lot of Democrats, and a lot more should be like that because they shouldn't tolerate.
Yep.
The kind of stuff. Look at this. It's on TV right now. It's on Fox News. That's an eerie kind of thing. That's sort of like what you do if you were Adolf Hitler. That kind of background. Joe Biden. Dark red light behind him, the flags, and the two Marines who never should have been there, but apparently were ordered by Biden to be there because it was a political event.
Well, and I was making a point about something whenever Adolf originally called. There is, I don't remember which state this is in, but there is a Clay County Sheriff's Department that on Facebook within this last week put out there about these IRS agents that they're hiring.
Yeah.
And they said for what it's going to cost to hire these 80,000 some odd IRS agents, you could hire a police officer and have them assigned to every school in America.
Yeah.
Plus this much money left over for additional police, and they flat out said on there, and this is the Sheriff's Department saying this on their Facebook, it's clear safety is not truly the issue here.
Right.
They're after you.
Yeah,
they had the guts to say this.
Oh yeah,
and then now with the speech
good.
And all that,
sure,
it just aligns perfectly. It's
it's
obvious.
We're all in the scope of their aim, and who knows what's going to happen. Rick Baker, we have to wait for the left to make the first move. Well, how many first moves do you need?
First move, the first, second, third, fourth move's been made already.
Yeah, it seems to me that's true. Because, you have Netanyahu back in 1933 comment on Germany, they're going to have a Holocaust. That was like 8 years before they actually started the Holocaust. And he predicted that. That's that's what I'm seeing here too. I'm seeing here, and it's not just me as a Jew. It is the whole Trump backing deal here. So that's where I'm coming from. So where's our next guest? He's usually early. Yeah, that's all right. That's okay. No problem. We'll greet him with a little bit of you know what? Do that number 7 clip from we got Tucker on global warming. We got a whole bit about that. How Europe is really going to suffer. We're going to do one clip and then he's going to be on. Okay, hit it.
Donald Trump, to his credit, whatever you think of him, caught on to this early. 4 years ago, Trump warned Europe about its energy future during his speech at the United Nations. The German delegation laughed at him. Remember this?
Germany will become totally dependent on Russian energy if it does not immediately change course. Here in the Western Hemisphere, we are committed to maintaining our independence from the encroachment of expansionist foreign powers. It has been the formal policy of our country since President Monroe.
Oh, they're laughing. We have green parties here in Europe. You have no idea what you're talking about. But they're not laughing anymore. The Europeans have discovered that the real threat to human civilization is not global warming. It never was global warming. The real threat to people is global cooling, otherwise known as winter.
Okay, we have our next guest on, and we're going to play a little song for him so he doesn't cry and whimper. Hit it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our next guest, who I forgot to turn the page on. Yeah, there he is. He's a lifelong conservative, a man who thinks Gavin Newsom actually ate in a laundromat at Napa. He's the author of Rules for Defeating Radicals. You might want to put that up there. And he is the star of TV and radio and podcasts. Please welcome, all the way from, Missouri, good friend and great interview, Chris Adamo. Wow. How'd you get so many in the audience here? That's pretty good. All right. Did you listen to that clip I had on?
The one of Tucker Carlson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Let me mention, just mention the video on that was that Trump was speaking to the UN. Mm-hmm. And they put the camera on the Germans, the German UN enclave, and these people were laughing at him. They were laughing at Trump, who's talking about you're going to be eaten out of the Soviet hands to find any gas at all. And that's what's happening this winter, believe it or not.
Oh,
what do you think?
I absolutely believe it, and I absolutely believe that their response was laughing, because that's. They're leftists. I mean, they're the Euro lefties is what I call them, or the Euro socialists, and they follow that whole leftist strategy, including the thing that Alinsky said to do, which is to when you're in a corner, is to mock things. So they were mocking Trump over there.
Yeah.
Look how ridiculous he is. The thing that they do when they behave like that, the thing that needs to be understood is that is actually a sign of total contempt, not for Trump. And not for us even. It's for their followers. It's for their people. It's like, look how much we can laugh at this guy.
Yeah.
And what they're really saying is, you people, our supporters, are the gullible dupes, the little minions that we can feed these lies to, and you're going to accept it because we're so confident, because we're laughing about it. The other thing that they do is they change their story in the upcoming circumstances with total indifference to the fact that they're saying the exact opposite of what they said previously. Think of the whole Biden cabal, defund the police, fund the police thing, a perfect example. And they do this without shame because you, the little lefty supporters, are so stupid that we can do this. We can change our story on a dime and you'll fall for it.
Yeah, and that's got to stop. I would agree. I mean, most people get it. They're just too afraid to say stuff about it, I think.
That's the part that's got to change.
Yeah, and I agree. Listen, we've been threatened. We've been threatened. We didn't just get a tongue lashing. We got a warning from Joe Biden that he's now attacked about 100 million of us who support Donald Trump, which I think is an accurate assumption based on the fact that Democrats hate Biden too. 75% want him out. So probably there's
that
about
was
100
scary
million.
thing last night.
Yeah, that's where I'm coming from. And we've been talking about this for years, that it's looking like we're headed for some kind of a revolution, because it isn't long before, you got 87,000 IRS agents who are
so-called
armed
IRS agents
and told, don't be afraid to use your gun for lethal. I mean, what the hell is that? That's on what is that?
It's their hope for. You remember we talked about this a few weeks back. It's their hope for Obama civilian police force. He was trying to do this back in 2008 or 2009, whenever he got inaugurated. He was trying to do this to where you had this military grade force that could point its guns at Americans.
Right. I remember reading that. I remember reading that. It was in Obamacare. Okay, that huge thing on Obamacare. And I said, "What?"
Why would you need
I said, "What the hell is that?"
In medical care.
Yeah. In other words, they have. And who was in charge? The president. Who was the president? Guess who?
Yeah,
Barack Obama. And
From
then I went back
perspective-
to it and I said, "What? Am I nuts? That thing was in there, and now it's not. They removed it." Okay.
Oh no, they didn't get it through. No, that is one thing. They tried that, and I guess at some point even some of the Democrats caught enough heat from their constituents. They did not get that implemented, but Obama was trying. Never forget when they're trying something. If it doesn't go through, you know what they were up to.
Yeah. Well, and now it's through. This is it.
Yeah.
87,000
They came through a back door.
Armed government agents.
That's how they're going to sit there and audit your income taxes with armed agents there.
Yeah.
But let me give you another side of the story, something to think about. Did you see? Now, I'll be totally honest with you. I've watched little clips here and there. I just could not stomach the idea of sitting there and watching that whole atrocity last night of a so-called speech. But did you see a confident leader who was rallying his people who he knows are in support of him? Is that what you saw in that speech?
No, I saw a crazed nut,
desperate,
because he knows he hasn't done a good job. He knows he's done a terrible job. He's not stupid, and the only way he's going to survive. This was not something he did at the last minute, Chris. They all planned this. This is how you're going to save yourself. You got to attack. You got to attack Trump. You got to attack Trump supporters.
Yeah, let me add one little thing in there, and I know you and I always talk about this. I know we're on the same page, but I want to reemphasize it. All old Joe is the sock puppet. You know, when you say he didn't plan it, you're right, because I mean he had no idea who he was talking to or what he was talking about last night. They pumped up his meds a little bit, and the little earpiece is giving him the words, and because he really can't quite keep up with what's on the teleprompters. But he could have been talking to Martians for all he knew last night. But the Biden cabal, this was a big organized thing. He did not. Don't try and tell me Joe Biden sat around and said, this is the issues I want to address. These are the things that we're going to do. And he started crafting this speech. Yeah. And even if he got a speech writer to flesh it out or whatever, it was nothing like that. This is the Biden cabal. First of all, they're a bunch of leftists. Secondly, when you look at I can't remember the guy's name now, the guy that runs around in dresses. Well, there's several of them. You look at this kind of people, and these are not mature, level-headed people. Okay,
I'm sorry, I don't know those people, those men who are running around in dresses. You must know them.
Yeah. Well, hey, I got a bone to pick with you if you're going to start picking on me. Ask everybody else in the crew about this.
Go ahead, bring it. Even JP walked out.
So I'm on a regular basis.
Yeah.
For quite a while here.
Yeah.
And the week Liz Cheney loses, all of a sudden I get boycotted for 3 weeks now? How long has it been since? Okay. I have a feeling, Dave, that you actually have this real admiration for Liz Cheney. You're mad that she lost. So I'm going to suggest people look around, see if you got a Romney poster.
We were in an elevator once together, Liz Cheney.
You were in an elevator with Liz Cheney?
Yeah, I just said hi. She said hi. And she
didn't know you were a conservative.
She groped me a little bit, but I said, you know what, I'm not interested. Come on,
Anyway, no,
you don't know about that?
I remember was Sam Brinton.
No, I don't know.
And then the other guy
that.
Calls himself Rachel Levine. I mean, look at these lunatics.
Oh yeah,
These are not level-headed people who are saying what's best for the country and how do we unify the American people. They're somewhere between puerile, childish lunatics, but they're hardcore leftists and they're desperate. Right now, they're feeling cornered, and that's the good news. What you saw last night was desperation, because the American people are not buying it. And I just saw like a 14-second video. I'll try and send you the link later if you're interested. A 14-second video showing the actual venue where it happened. And I've been to a Trump rally in just the last few months, and I mean, it's thousands of people all spread out, all excited, enthusiastic, supporting him, lots of energy there. This was a little tiny group, like inside a junior high school gymnasium, and the cameras were positioned to try really hard to make it look like he.
Now, what are you talking about? The rally he did?
Yeah, I mean, it was
a tiny crowd.
Yeah. It was staged.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that doesn't surprise
me.
Well, okay,
and I'll clarify. Maybe not the one last night. This was a rally he's done.
Well, last night the only two people standing behind him was two Marines who shouldn't have been there.
Who were under orders, no doubt.
Right.
So,
right.
You know, this may have been the same one, but this was.
But let's wait a minute. Now you've raised an issue here. You know, you say I boycotted you. How did you think I'm boycotting? I have two. Look, I don't want to claim that I'm all that easy to find.
I apologize. You gave me a really good intro today, so I apologize for saying you boycotted me. But I kind of wondered about it when after Liz Cheney loses, and I've got so much to say about Wyoming politics and what actually the big picture there.
Here's the thing: I got an interview with Dick Morris. You know who he is, right?
Yep.
And
did you tell him about my book?
I don't know. Oh, I didn't get a chance to. No, I'm not gonna do that with guests. I'm not gonna sit around and tell you about Cheryl Chumley's great book, which is, by the way, Socialists Don't Sleep. She's got a book like that, and also, Lockdown. Now, would I tell him about your book? No, I didn't do it. Anyways, but. He said this is why Liz Cheney did what she did. She was voting with Trump almost 100% until Trump laid out some criticism on George W. Bush and Dick Cheney about the Iraqi wars and the endless wars. Mm-hmm. All right, that's when she turned on him. Okay, so that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I will say something else about that voting record. I've been in two situations where I was close at hand. One in Kansas back in the 90s, and then one in Wyoming in the 2000s. Yeah. And one of the things that the rhinos are really good at, if you read the introduction of Ted Cruz's book that he wrote back in 2016 before he ran, he really goes into good detail about it, is the rhinos are great at voting very, very steadfastly with the conservatives when they know it won't count.
Yeah.
And so they got this great conservative voting record, except it doesn't really amount to anything. You know, they voted how many times to repeal Obamacare when Obama was president. Right. They knew that it was never going to do anything.
Right.
It's like,
when they had a chance to do it, they didn't do it, did they?
They did exactly the opposite.
Right.
So Liz Cheney's got like a 92% voting record on a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter. Liz Cheney, when she campaigned in Wyoming in 2014, I think I've mentioned this to you before, she had dear old dad out there talking about how she was the Tea Party candidate. I kid you not. And she was pure establishment the whole time. And she, her dad, George Bush Jr., the whole crowd, a bunch of globalists. And this is where they really want to take the country. And they can do it either at the fast pace by being Democrats, or the slow burn, following along a little bit behind the front wave as rhinos. And that's what she is, and that's what she's done. And so that's why she had no problem once she realized that Trump was going to make people take sides on these issues. That's why she had no problem siding with. She didn't side with George Bush Sr. or dear old dad. She sided with Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi. And that's when the people of Wyoming said, this is not one of us. Get her out of here.
Well, let me ask you a question. Thank you for letting me ask my first question finally.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can
15 minutes into the interview. How do we keep rhinos from sabotaging the red wave in November?
Well, for starters, we've got to, per my comment I was just making there, we've got to go back and look at not what they say, and particularly, please wake up, people, not what they say in fundraising letters. I could tell you after that Mar-a-Lago raid, my email was just overflowing with fundraising letters from every Republican out there. I got Marco Rubio out there talking about what an atrocity this is and how we need to support people like him. Forget what they say in the fundraising letters. If you look at that, you're a dupe. You're being just played like a fiddle. Go back and look at their real record. Who and what are they really? And again, a good voting record, except when it doesn't count, is a bad voting record. If they have I voted 65 times under Obama to repeal Obamacare. Yeah, what did you do under Trump?
Right.
What did you do when he tried to put up the wall? Let's go back and look at that.
Right. And here's another thing. You got to realize, in my opinion, that they're trying to discourage us because they got these polls coming out that all of a sudden Biden is popular, and the Republicans who are running, especially the Trump-backed ones, they're losing it. Well, I talked about that with Dick Morris too. He says the polls are fixed. He says they're slanted towards the Democrats. And the questions are slanted towards the Democrats. That's why you had in 2016, you had 100% Trump was not going to lose on Election Day. I mean, that Trump was going to lose on Election Day. So that's another big area because they try to discourage you with phony polls.
And let's face it, we get discouraged. I mean, when you look at that thing, that abomination of a speech last night, the fact that could actually be taking place in America, that's real disheartening. I've seen pictures of it with swastikas in the background, and they got a little Hitler mustache on Biden, and that's because it was that kind of a speech.
It was,
and so it's really disheartening. Well, that's part of their strategy. They have every means in the world to dispirit us. You and I experience this when we put something up on Twitter and we get just bombarded by these hateful statements. And you go back and read who these people are. And these people, a lot of them don't have even pictures on their, human pictures on their account. They have 13 followers. They've been on Twitter for 10 years, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And what this is,
they're Twitter
a bombardment.
Bots. They're Twitter. That's Twitter. That's
it's
Twitter
trolls,
commenting.
But the purpose is to discourage you.
I know. Well, that's why I don't really bother with the stupid ones. It's the ones that I know are out there, like journalists and things like that are pro, that are socialist kind of people. I love tearing into them. I just love it, especially when they're saying things like against Ashley Babbitt, who was the only person killed that day in 1/6. And they're claiming all those police were killed in one day. That's what Biden's claiming. Well, police killed that day. There was no police
and again,
killed
tell
that
any
day.
lie for the minions,
right?
And boy, they'll all repeat it. All those little trolls will repeat it.
Well, you gotta say somewhere where it ain't true.
Yep,
it's not true, and you gotta say it, and you gotta say it despite the fact that you're going to be pushed around by Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, and again, we have to ignore those things. When they are actually silencing you over those things, that's where they are really desperate. I've said to people, and the lesson we've got to learn from the 2020 election theft is their strategy was two-pronged. And the first one was on Election Day, do whatever it took, whether it's with the mules or with messing with the Dominion machines or anything it took, do whatever it took to present these numbers to the American public to say that Biden won.
Yeah.
That's prong one. That's part of the strategy. The other part was just as big and just as coordinated, and it was to sit there like that German person you were talking about in the very beginning when we started talking, that's sitting there laughing, laughing at any mention that the election was stolen.
Oh, yeah.
Now they are literally to the point of trying to tell you that you saying the 2020 election was stolen, or you saying that the FBI is corrupt,
it's criminal,
both of which are well-established facts. But if you say either of those, you're a terrorist.
Okay, the FBI is corrupt.
Maybe I better step lightly.
The FBI is corrupt, and they just committed espionage. You know how they did that? They spread out all those secrets on the carpet in Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump didn't do that, and they're claiming these are classified, highly classified documents. They're all laid out there. Now they can have these. Every country in the world could see that. They could see the color code. They could see the front pages explaining what was top secret. If they had instruments that could delve inside of these, as I'm sure they do,
you can be sure of that. Yep.
Damn right. So the FBI just committed espionage.
Yeah, and again, why did they do it? They did it for the same reason as that atrocity of a speech last night, is because they're on the ropes. They know that people are not buying it, so they can't really refute you with evidence. They've got to try.
And we need to keep them there, and they're going to do stuff to us. They could do it to me. I don't know what they're going to do, but you know what? I'm not taking this crap.
Well, and see, this is what they're afraid of. This is why last night's actual effort was to get people like you and me to go, oh wow, I don't want to go up against the Reich. And every big tin horn dictator in the world that you've seen that rises to despotic power in some third world nation, one of the things you see from these people is they start putting up statues of themselves all over the place. They name every building after themselves. They name every highway after themselves. And we always think that that's a huge ego. And I don't deny that ego plays some part of that. But in most cases, what you're actually seeing there is fear, paranoia, desperation. I've got to convince everybody that I'm this invincible God, because if they realize what a little tin horn dictatorship we are and what a bad job we're doing, they may rise up against us. And what you saw last night and what you saw in Mar-a-Lago was just exactly that.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing for me. Mar-a-Lago made me even more sure of how scared they are. That proved to me that Trump, they know they're done. It's desperation. And I think those of us that have a little bit of common sense can see that plain. I mean, it's easy to see that.
Well, they're still going to carry it out, and I think he's probably going to be indicted. You know, this thing was done by the D.C. office, so they have a grand jury in D.C. Do you know how many people out of 100 like Donald Trump in D.C.?
Right,
3.
He's their enemy.
3, yeah. So they're liable to come out and arrest him and indict him, and
they are
probable.
Looking right now at, can we get away with that? That's what they're trying to measure, trying to assess. You got a good point. Last night may have been, can we rally the base and intimidate the opposition enough to where now we can do this next thing and they're not going to steamroller over us? And the truth is, when we see those strategies, like we saw the post-election strategy where it's just mock and mock and mock, and then our side started saying, you've heard me say it before, still within a few days we're talking about possible voting irregularities, that's when they knew they won.
All right.
If they can get away with that, it'll be because we let it.
All right, let me start with one last question here. Gavin Newsom, just days after declaring gas vehicles will be totally sacked by, I think it's 2035 for electric ones, tells current owners, because of some kind of a heat wave, that they can't charge up their cars due to electric blackouts. How does that bode for the Green New Deal electric cars versus gasoline cars?
Okay, I'm going to sound like I'm taking a little bit of a rabbit trail, but if you've got my book still handy there, take a look on the inside. Look at the title on chapter 1.
You're supposed to look at inside the book?
Yeah, you got to look inside the book. Did I sign that for you, Dave?
No.
Oh, I should have. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Chapter 1.
He's got it. I've read most of it.
Yep. You're looking for the title of it?
The title of chapter 1. Okay.
Arrogance, the primary motivation of liberals.
Okay. That's on chapter 1 at the beginning for a reason. Both of these things that you just cite have to do with how the left, the Newsom base out there in California, what are they driven by? They're driven by arrogance. So you give them two things. You give them in 2035, we're going to be the green energy state that doesn't have any more gas-powered vehicles.
Right.
Look what good people we are.
Right.
Okay, it's 2035, 13 years from now. I can pat myself on the back because I'm going to be one of those good people 13 years from now. So they're like a bunch of lemons. They all fall for it, right?
Sure.
Because they're such good people and they're just going to be so virtuous. Okay, now their power grid can't handle it. And by the way, if you got a whole interview one day on the power grid in California, I can tell you about that from former experience working as a power plant worker in Wyoming for 30 years, because we had a lot of interaction with that. The power grid in California is not going to be any more ready to handle that in 2035 than it is now. But now, if you want to be virtuous, you want to be, and again, the arrogance that blinds them to reality. Yes, I want to be virtuous. I want everybody to see what a good person I am. Now you got to sit at home because you have an electric vehicle. Look how socially conscious I am. My gosh, I could even go out. I can probably sit in my electric car in the driveway,
I'd be a star.
wearing a mask, and look how super virtuous I am.
Especially,
that's how they manipulate
especially
people
if
with
you're
their
out in
arrogance.
California. There's a lot of celebrities out there, and they're all telling people, well, now, will any of them get rid of their private jets? Hell no.
Exactly.
Hell no.
That's why I won't make you look up chapter 2 in my book there, but chapter 2 is hypocrisy, because when you're that blinded by arrogance, the only way to maintain that facade is with total hypocrisy.
Yeah,
Your example
hypocrisy.
there is a perfect one.
Right. Hey, other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find you?
Well, let's see. I'm on GOP USA. I'm on the America First Report with J.D. Rucker, and he's somebody you ought to consider having on.
I know,
for an
you
interview.
keep mentioning that.
He's a good guy. And then I'm on Red Voice Media and the Thinking Conservative. And I got and my book is at Amazon, and I'm telling people some of the examples I give might seem to be dated, but boy, when you watch how these people behave, they are Pavlovian. They're that predictable.
The strategy is the same, isn't it?
It is absolutely the same, and that's what we've got to recognize.
Now, my strategy now is to tell you a joke.
Uh-oh.
Here you go.
Uh-oh. Lisa, can you stop him?
What do you call the king of caramel candy?
What do you call the king of caramel candy?
Yeah.
I'm not going to bite on that one.
You don't need to. I'm going to give it to you anyways, because you might break a tooth anyways. He's called the Guru. The Guru. Okay. Good enough for you, apparently. I got laughter. Thank you so much. And thank you so much. Even though you like to criticize me, I don't mind.
Oh, no. Listen, all right, don't let him tell you rumors, people.
Right,
he's not a Democrat. He's not going to make this up. This is a good patriot.
What if I get Rucker and you're not on the show? See, you'll get mad now. Okay. It's just the way it works out. I have to have balance. You're on probably more than anybody.
No, I appreciate that.
All right.
I'm telling you, the Wyoming political scene, there's a lot going on there right now.
All right, well, we'll have to save it for next time, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, thanks a lot, pal. Have a great weekend.
God bless. Keep it up.
God bless. All right. That's a good interview. He's a nice guy, and he's sort of funny for an Italian, you know.
And in the comments on DaveWeinbaum.net and here on Facebook and Twitter, we also have a link where you can buy Chris's book through Amazon. So.
Oh, good. Great. Super. All right. Do we got any more things in the message pile? Okay, Pamela Tanner. Why aren't our elected officials speaking out and responding to Biden's so-called speech? Will the majority of our elected officials continue to let the fake Biden administration steamroll over us? Now, I was listening to Fox on the way in, and they were interviewing Senator Kennedy from Louisiana, and he was criticizing it. And the little I listened to Fox this morning, they were criticizing it. So, I mean, they just gave it last night, Pamela, so, give them a break. I have something in my eye here, and that is our commercials. I'm being reminded by the producer, which is part of his job, to kindly remind me. It's part of his job is not giving me a whip or crickets, but, he does it anyways. That's not necessary. It's not necessary. All right, do the commercials, please.
With warmer temperatures right around the corner and allergies ramping up, now's the time to get those AC units serviced. At Hartley's, we pride ourselves in offering outstanding service with fast response times. With proper maintenance, you can make those hot days be a lot cooler and remove those pesky allergens that always seem to find their way into your home. Call us today so you can be living a much cooler and healthier life. Hartley's, community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Kent's Jewelry does custom engravings for almost anything. Awards, signs, guns, swords, mugs, yetis, and knives. Kent is the premier custom jeweler in mid-Missouri. We have a great staff, the technology, and equipment to create what you dream for, jewelry and engraving. Kent's Jewelry, 907 North Pine, downtown Rolla, 573-364-1030. That's 573-364-1030. Locally owned. Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about Koi Sushi and Hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping, too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Busy schedule? Let your locally owned Price Chopper help you save time with online shopping. It's easy. Sign up to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app in the App Store or Google Play. Create an account and browse through the categories and choose the items you need. When you place your order, your personal shopper will get all of the items you've selected, taking the same care you would and following your notes. We offer free curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Start your online order today and no online shopping fee for a limited time. Go to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app to get started. Price Chopper. Fresher savings every day.
Maybe it's for a kitchen you've always wanted. Maybe it's just to have a little extra room. Whatever the reason you're considering a new home loan, it's good to know that Town & Country Bank will guide you in the right direction. Our experienced local lenders are here to help you with a new home construction, remodeling projects, and fixed and adjustable rate home loans. You can even start the process online by clicking Online Mortgage Center at tcbanks.com. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
ACAR Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the #1 sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have. Okay, Chris Rock. Chris Rock was asked to host the 2023 Oscars. He was going to get big money, I think, and he declined. How about that? How about that?
He didn't want to get slapped again, I guess, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in his mind, but that might be part of it, and the other part of it is, I don't know if he thought they did suspend Will over it, Will Smith, and maybe he didn't think that was enough. Maybe he thought maybe this guy should be on criminal charges, which I think he should be.
He refused to press charges though on it, so
yeah,
he kind of did that to himself.
I don't know. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to be the one to do that. Anyone could.
He doesn't have to, but he could have guaranteed that he could have got in trouble if he had pressed the charges. So
maybe. But I think he's done with the Oscars. He did a pretty good job. You know, he used to do a great job as Billy Crystal. Used to do an amazing job with the Oscars. Funny as hell. He's another Jewish guy with Ukrainian background like I do. So, all right. So Europe is going down, looking for ways to stay alive. In the UK, they're predicting 73% of restaurants going under this winter. There's a huge problem. France sold so much fuel, now they're desperate for it. Fossil fuels cannot be excluded in the immediate future. The Green New Deal is looking like it means poverty, especially in winter. Let's play a couple of clips. What do you think? Yeah. Let's play, let's see, you've done 1 and 2. Do 2 and 3.
So desperate Germans are now cutting their own wood, scouring the forests like their ancestors for sources of heat. Watch.
Some in Germany are taking matters into their own hands with solutions that might look like a blast from the past. About 2 hours outside Berlin, residents of this small town have turned to wood chips for fuel. We have to be innovative, said the project's organizer. If we don't act and just rely on the government to solve the crisis, we'll never succeed. This burner will soon fuel most of this village of 60 people.
So they call it biomass, but it's wood. They're burning wood, again, as they did during the feudal period. That's Germany. In Poland, families are standing in line for days to buy coal. Not in 1910, right now, tonight. Cars queued up outside coal mines, hoping for fuel. Quote, "This is beyond imagination," one 57-year-old Polish man told Reuters. People are sleeping in their cars. I remember the communist times, but it didn't cross my mind that we could return to something even worse. Oh, but it's come. Something even worse has arrived. The French government has announced energy rationing this winter. Just the other day, France had so much energy that it exported it to other countries. It was a net exporter of energy. Now, there won't be enough heat in France for everyone in the country to stay warm. In the UK, 70% of restaurants are preparing to close, to go under. Why? Because when winter comes, they won't be able to afford to keep the heat and lights on, et cetera, et cetera. This is happening across Europe in every country. So the question is, why is it happening? And the answer is extremely simple. There's an energy shortage in Europe. Cheap energy is essential. It is the key to everything that a normal society strives for. Prosperity, safety, a longer life expectancy for its citizens, everything depends on cheap energy, but Europe no longer has it.
Less than one family out of 7 in the Soviet Union owns an automobile. Most of the automobiles are driven by the bureaucrats. So an order went out one day to the police that anyone caught speeding, anyone, no matter who, gets a ticket. Well, Gorbachev came out of his country home, his dacha. He was late getting to the Kremlin. There was his limousine and driver waiting. He told the driver to get in the back seat, he'd drive, and down the road he went. They passed two motorcycle cops. One took out after him. And pretty soon he's back with his buddy. And his buddy says, well, did you give him a ticket? And he said, no. Well, he said, why not? Oh, he said, it's too important. Well, he said, we're told to give anybody a ticket, no matter who it is. Oh, he said, no, this one was too, I could. Well, he said, who was it? He said, I couldn't recognize him. But his driver was Gorbachev.
Now this is, I guess, a mini tribute to Gorbachev, who signed the death knell of the Soviet Union. That was not Donald Trump, but Ronald Reagan's main achievement was he got Gorbachev to shut down the Soviet Union, and he did things that showed Gorbachev that if he kept going the way he was going, he was going to bankrupt the country anyways. They just couldn't afford to keep up with the United States at that point. And that's when a guy named Vladimir Putin was running East Germany. And I guess he never forgot what Gorbachev did. Now, Gorbachev died, he's 91 years old. So, and so I guess they didn't kill him. So I guess that's good. He was only prime minister for about 5 or 6 years when this happened. But this was probably I keep saying Donald Trump and Ronald Reagan. They are similar, Of course, Donald Trump, I think, is a lot smarter than Reagan was. However, Donald Trump can be a little tougher than Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan had a great sense of humor, as does Donald Trump, but Donald Trump takes no crap from anybody, and he gives it back twice as much as he gets. That's what they can't handle it. They can't handle it. Yeah. You're just supposed to sit there and shut up and take it like George Bush did it, And now he's all friendly with Barack Obama, who was ruining, along with Joe Biden, he's ruining this country. They're going to ruin Israel, or they're trying to. So, all right, we got about 2 minutes before we hit, we got Bill Hardwick coming in, I think. And let's do a couple more clips. Let's do 4 and 5.
For perspective, just a week ago, last Monday, the cost was about 700 euros per megawatt hour. And that was a record. In other words, the price rise is approaching 50% in a single week. In France, electricity went up 25% in one day. That was last Friday. Imagine that happening to you. Here's what Europe looks like tonight.
In Europe, it's lights out at major monuments and tourist attractions as a long, hot summer gives way to what officials worry could be a bitterly cold winter. Skyrocketing energy prices have put Europe on a war footing, with Russia as the enemy.
Nous sommes dans ce qu'on appelle une guerre hybride.
We're in what can be described as a hybrid war, said French President Emmanuel Macron. Russia uses energy resources, like it does food, as a war weapon to exert pressure. Oil prices have doubled, coal prices have quadrupled, and natural gas is now 7 times more expensive than early last year.
If you've got a graduate degree and live in a city in the United States, you may be shocked to learn this. You may never have heard this before. You may have believed that fossil fuels were on their way out any day now. And you thought that because the Davos people and our own leaders assured us of that for decades. They told us that green energy was the future, and the future is here. It's here. As recently as last month, the World Economic Forum claimed that Europe could save, quote, $1 trillion in fossil fuel costs by switching to renewables. But it turns out, and this may not shock you, they had no clue what they were talking about. They knew nothing about the subject they talked about endlessly. Green energy cannot replace fossil fuels. Not now, not anytime soon. Fossil fuels remain what they have always been, the key to civilization. That is true now. That has been true since Homo erectus started the first cooking fire in a cave nearly 1 million years ago.
So the whole green whatever, the whole Green Deal has just been denounced because it doesn't work and can never work. We can never lose the effectiveness of fossil fuels. Whether it can complement it or not, probably it can, but it can't do it. There's not enough electricity to fund the Green New Deal. How about that? For an oxymoron, huh? And the Germans they're laughing at it. Now they're all out gathering and chipping wood in the forest. And Poland is sitting out there. They're sleeping in their cars trying to find wood.
How does that Donald Trump speech seem now?
Well,
they're not laughing, are they?
Well, like Chris Adamo says, and his picture suddenly there scared me a little bit. But he said they're just going to lie and they're not going to care. I mean, after all, if you're gonna say you're going to do something and take care of it by 2035, who's going to remember? Right? Who? Yeah. So Chris Adamo says Donald Trump's single greatest accomplishment was to expose the rhinos, and not that this means that the person that just walked in is a rhino, because he's anything but a rhino. Anything but, okay? And so that was I guess that was a faux pas on my part, saying the word rhino as you entered the door.
That's why the Eric Greitens ads didn't bother me, because I'm like, he's not talking about me.
Yeah, it must have been Eric. Well, Schmidt was just on. Now, he's not a rhino, is he?
He's going to win. Yeah, John Woon's out. No, Schmidt's not. Schmidt's doing well. He's campaigning exactly where the conservative base is, I think. You're pushing back against the federal government, against mandates, stuff like that.
So is he the guy you want in?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so is that a serious question between Trudy Valentine Bush and Eric Schmidt? Who do I want to be the U.S. Senator?
I don't.
It's Eric Schmidt.
All right, it's Eric Schmidt. Okay,
yeah.
That's why I asked. If I didn't know, if I knew it, I wouldn't ask you. Now, before this gets too snippy in here, let me at least take the time to introduce you. It's the least I can do after saying the word rhino as you entered the room. I mean, that's just a faux pas on my part, I guess. Or some might say it was good timing. Anyways, Iraq War Platoon Leader. He's a lawyer, professor, philosopher, and a Missouri representative from District 122. Please welcome, all the way from Waynesville, Missouri, Bill Hardwick. It's been a while.
Yeah, about a month or so.
Is your hair kind of a little receding back there?
Yeah, no, I think it's the stress.
It's a stress.
It's a stress.
What are you talking about?
No, it's right.
Well, it's been a while.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm 70.
It's receded all the way down to your chin.
I'm going to be 74.
No, it could be.
Okay, I'm going to be 74 in 2 months.
This is why I always wear a hat when I'm in studio, by the way, so nobody can see mine.
Yeah, I'll wear a Cardinals hat.
I think he looks cool with that.
Thanks.
Bit of,
Yeah, no, right. A lot of men look distinguished with no.
You're a young guy. How old are you?
I'm 37.
37. He's just a kid.
Is this really what you're going to interview him about today?
That's okay. I say ask me about anything.
He can handle. That's right.
Yes, my hair is probably going away.
The reason he's here is that he can handle anything I say. So I can take chances with him.
That's totally fine with me.
I can say the word rhino as he enters the door, and
this does not apply.
Doesn't bother
turn around.
Yeah.
This does not apply at home.
Huh?
This does not apply at home.
This is not. Well, of course.
And
we have anything you want.
We have a comment from Pamela Tanner saying, "Great to see Bill Hardwick." So.
Yeah.
I saw Pamela at the electric thing.
Did I say what Chris Adamo? Oh, that's what got me in trouble. Chris Adamo, you got me in trouble. So here's another thing from him. Quit horning in on other people's time. I gave him like more than a half an hour, didn't I? About a half an hour.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah. Just imagine how powerful U.S. energy policy would make our country now if the Biden cabal hadn't shut down our energy production / Keystone Pipeline, etc. And Bill is over there shaking his head.
Yes.
It's like the bobblehead. You're looking.
Yes.
Yeah. See, look at him.
No, I agree.
Okay, you agree with that.
Right,
okay,
we should open
good.
energy production in the United States.
We had the Fauci one somewhere. He was supposed to leave in December, but I guess he took off early.
You know what the SOB is doing right now? He's holding up my MAGA hat, and he's facing backwards. No, he's facing forward. That's why he couldn't hold it up, because I got to fire the guy. He's just not doing a job.
I think he just fired himself, actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here
did
he
Anthony
is.
Fauci leave
Fauci,
early?
here he is.
Well.
What?
I find it. Yeah.
He's a yes man.
He's done.
He's a yes man, no man, middle of the road man.
I wouldn't be shocked if he's packing his house right now as we speak,
Yeah.
so that on December 31st he can fly on out of here.
Now,
Maybe even November.
What are the chances? Now Trump is getting blamed now for these vaccines that don't work all of a sudden.
All of a sudden, it's Trump's
Yeah, it's
fault
Trump's
that
fault.
vaccine.
Sure.
Right? Well, I got my feelings about that for sure, but I think it was the Biden administration that forced it on everybody, that mandated it. I think Donald Trump always said you shouldn't be forced to take it. And I recall a couple interviews he said, especially if you've been previously infected with COVID, there's not a reason for you to take it. I remember Donald Trump saying that.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's the same as saying every single worker, man, woman, and child needs to take a COVID vaccine or their life's going to be destroyed. That's different.
They're still doing it. They're still D.C. The mayor Bowser over there. She has put a mandate on kids there. 40% of whom can't go to school now, and most of them are black. She's a black mayor.
The CDC just said there's no difference in quarantine. There's no difference in procedure. There's no difference in time. I mean, that seems like slowly but surely I saw that meme. The CDC is saying things that I got kicked out of Facebook for 2 months ago.
Well, there you go.
Right. So.
Yeah, and we're still on Facebook, but now Facebook has to admit somewhere along the line that these vaccines aren't what they we were told they would do.
Yeah, that's right.
And how would they know it? Because they never treated it like a vaccine ever.
Yeah, the efficacy, what was said, hey, you won't get COVID, that's clearly not the case, right? It's going to stop the spread. That's clearly not the case. But I don't blame Donald Trump for anything. I don't care if companies invent stuff. I think it's good that we're inventing things, but it's unethical to force people, right, to take things.
Well, it's probably unethical also to test people as if they were guinea pigs because they had no proof this thing worked.
Yeah, I'm all about us inventing new medical technologies. I have picked certain feelings on this one, right? But I'm all about us inventing it and exploring it. But this is a good example why you shouldn't. This is a textbook example why you don't mandate people do stuff.
Well, sure. But also you got to test because it took them years and years and years to develop vaccines. Took test groups to see if it worked, to see if it had adverse effects. They didn't do that with this.
Well, everybody's body's different, too. And we never talked about that. Everybody reacts differently. They have different immune systems.
That's why you have people dying of these vaccines. Others are okay.
And exactly in COVID, too. People have different experience with COVID. And
sure.
But with all medicines are like that. I can't – a few years ago I couldn't imagine a single doctor that would prescribe the same medicine to every single patient in the country.
Yeah.
That'd be unheard of, right?
Sure.
But now we're saying, hey, if you don't, you can't work. I don't know. It seems like we're not. I don't think we're through it yet, right? Because there's still a lot of freedom to fight for and make sure stuff like this doesn't happen again. The future is what I'm worried about now. But it seems like if you remember a year ago, 18 months ago, people were talking about you couldn't leave your house, you couldn't go get on the bus, you couldn't get on an airplane, you couldn't go to a university game, you couldn't go to school, you couldn't go to the hospital unless you had your vaccine card. Do you remember that?
Sure.
We were having a serious discussion about that.
Sure.
And there was a fight. There's a fight between me and left wing or progressives, whatever, about that. And my position was that's a little totalitarian, right?
So this wasn't a physical fight.
No, it was a fight. It was a moral fight, a fight of words, But it seems like ancient history now.
Yeah.
But it was just last year we had a serious argument about that, even in the state of Missouri.
So are you an ultra MAGA?
No, I'm just MAGA.
So you're not included in what Joe Biden called the semi-fascist.
Let me tell you,
ultra MAGA.
Okay, let's discuss it because I was thinking about this. I knew you were going to bring this up. So last night
I didn't even know I was. I
saw on Twitter and I was like, Joe Biden gave a speech, and I was like, I don't want to watch it. But every time I go on the Dave Weinbaum show, he goes, "Did you watch the Joe Biden thing?" And I'm like, I don't want to watch it, but I need to watch it so I can intelligently answer questions about it if asked. So I watched it.
Yeah.
I was doing other things, I was working, but I played it in the background. So yeah, I'm ready to talk about it. Am I MAGA? Yeah, I think he was.
I don't want to talk about that. I got other stuff.
30 minutes of my life.
Yeah. Hey, I would think that as a representative of a big district in Missouri, that you would want to see what the President of the United States is thinking and how you're going to protect us MAGA, I consider myself an ultra MAGA.
I just consider myself. I like Donald Trump, and I think he was a good president, and I support him. But I don't worship anybody. That's right. I think everybody has things I agree and disagree with on.
Yeah.
But I think he was a good president.
Yeah.
And I wish he were still president right now.
Well, I think he was totally screwed, which means the whole country got screwed.
I think there was a statement he used to say a lot. They're not after me, they're after you.
Yeah, I think he's right.
You know, and there was a speech last night that said, "Hey, the real problem is the extremists. It's us. It's Dave Weinbaum and Bill Hardwick."
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I took it. It was kind of like, well, we're going to alienate, we're going to isolate, we're going to criminalize half this country, 45% of this country.
I think it's 100. I think 100 million people probably
maybe 100 million people.
Donald Trump right now.
Yeah, and so that's part of the. I was thinking about that. It's part of the plan, right? It's part of the idea is that you feel like you're all alone and you're marginalized. There's nobody else like you, and you gaslight, right? You gaslight half the country. So.
Yeah, and then you got 87,000 IRS agents who are armed.
That's a lot of IRS agents.
And told they can use deadly force if needed. Okay.
That's a problem. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to punish your political enemies? Are you going to make life hard for small business owners? You're going to make it life hard for single parents? I mean,
I would say all the above.
Yeah, there's nobody who's happy about that. But the IRS
somebody's happy about it. You got Democrats all signed off. Even Joe Manchin signed off on that, and Senator Sinema of Arizona, she signed off on it. Every single Democrat signed off on that sumbitch.
It's like it's the eternal political struggle between freedom and control. All right, conservatives want freedom, and liberals want control, more control in government. And what you give an agency like that more power that's already super powerful. The IRS is one of those agencies that's really powerful to destroy your life, and you don't have much due process. It's hard to argue with them. It's hard to get your day in court, right? But they can freeze your assets. They can shut down your life.
Exactly.
So it's pretty scary that we had 87,000 of them.
Armed.
Yeah.
I never knew that armed. What do you mean?
That.
You know what that is.
I saw that.
You're a military guy. You know what? That's a militia.
Well, I know what a gun is for.
It's an armed militia.
I know what you use a weapon for. Yeah. But I can't, I'm also, I hope I'm a statesman. I'm aspiring to be a statesman. I can't figure out what the statesman's rationale is to arming IRS agents. I can't figure out why somebody who wants the best for this country and this republic would arm IRS agents. That's the part I can't figure out.
Well, we have the FBI acting like the KGB. They're armed, and now we're going to have a whole new outfit that has more people in it than than the whole combined agencies in the government.
You brought the FBI. Is something going on with the FBI?
Yeah, FBI, right? They are. Isn't that interesting? What they're doing. When they laid out all that stuff on the floor of Mar-a-Lago, and they laid it out showing that Donald Trump had stuff that was classified and super classified and super duper classified. When they laid it all out there, the whole world could see it. And so what I'm saying to you is that they know now that we're color-coded. They could see the front pages on a lot of these things. If they have X-ray machines, they could see inside. Did the FBI commit espionage there?
Did they declassify it? So to violate the Espionage Act, you have to declassify it or divulge it without authorization. It has to be divulge it to somebody
whose authorization did they have to show even the cover of these?
So that's why we go in a big circle here, because the ultimate authorizer is the president. So the ultimate authorizer, declassification is the president.
Would that not be Joe Biden at this point?
But you could also argue that while Donald Trump was president, it was Donald Trump. So even if you say
but
it was good or bad,
he's not the one that exposed it.
Yeah.
The FBI voluntarily took this stuff and threw it on his floor.
Sure.
Then took pictures.
I think Donald Trump
sent it to the papers.
Yeah. Even if that's bad, it hurts national security. Joe Biden could make it so they can't be prosecuted. But that's the same legal argument you can make against Donald Trump, that he can't be prosecuted because while he was president, you can say it's good or bad to take whatever anywhere. Yeah. But he's the ultimate declassification authority.
Right.
Because he's the president.
Well, he was.
He was at the time he was president.
Right.
That's correct.
And he claims he declassified the stuff, and there's a controversy over that. But that kind of thing has happened all. throughout all these presidents that have been here.
It's controversial because we never prosecuted a former president of the United States.
Right.
Before.
Well, there you go.
We don't have any case law on it.
And not just that, a person that's going to run again.
So what I've always wondered about this is, I don't understand if the documents are that big of a deal to them, why there isn't some kind of either constitutional amendment or some kind of line of authority that says when a president is removed out of office, that they don't take any documents with them. It's either locked in the National Archives or it's held there at the White House and it stays there. They're not to take anything with them, period. I don't understand why that's not set in stone anyway. I've never understood that.
The DOJ's argument is that is the state of the law.
Right.
And what I think is my analysis is that Donald Trump is anomalous to the DOJ and the deep state, right? The bureaucracy, as it were.
Right.
He was never treated like a legitimate president.
Right.
So the way that we've treated presidents throughout American history, we've never treated Donald Trump that way. And so he became, enemy of the state, right? He became he became his own national security enemy, not China, not ISIS, but Donald Trump.
That's what their
himself.
claim would be, right?
I think it goes back to Peter Strzok, right? And Lisa Page, I guess. It goes before that.
It goes back before that. It goes back to the Steele dossier.
Yeah, that's right.
Which Hillary adopted as the truth.
Yeah, and there's a politically.
She determined that this was where they were going to use this, according to testimony from Robbie Mook, who was her campaign manager.
Yeah, Robbie Mook was campaign manager.
And he was under oath during a trial of Sussman, the lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's right.
You had an overthrow. You had not only the overthrow of attempt of Donald Trump via Hillary and Democrats who conspired to do this. But you also had people in the FBI, judges that approved FISA court warrants and things like this.
Based on a politically contrived dossier.
Yeah.
And those political operatives gave the affidavit or the information to the FBI, who used FISA warrants against Trump Tower in the Trump campaign.
Right.
Which led to the investigation of Michael Flynn.
Yeah.
But you have the Obama administration, their DOJ, wiretapping the incoming president of the United States to listen, to prosecute and investigate.
Gee,
that's unprecedented.
How legal is that?
I'll tell you that's not super. So
it's not illegal.
It is illegal. I think it is. I think it's undermining of the whole idea of the presidency and the executive and the Constitution, the executive branch.
Where does sedition come in?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's seditious or not. I don't know I don't know how you. I guess sedition is.
Where's treason?
Treason, giving aid to our enemies.
Yeah. What do you think's happening right now with Hunter Biden's laptop, where he got $31 million from China? Okay. Russia, he got the $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's widow. He got all this money from Burisma. They got money out of Iraq and other places. So we know that the Biden Hunter laptop is legit, because now the Washington Post and the New York Times have all said, oh, yeah, that was legit. And they prevented this from being on social media. They killed the story until after the elections. So they threw the elections along with it.
Well, that's part of the outrage that MAGA Republicans, you can also say just people who go to their jobs and work and try to protect their families.
Disprove me. I can prove that they theoretically overthrew the election, because there was a poll taken that if Biden voters knew what was actually in the Hunter Biden laptop, 17% of them would not have voted for Biden.
Yeah, 140,000
that takes it down to where Trump won easily.
Well, I think it's that. It's these people are in control, and there's nothing the voter can do about it. There's the okay, if you're in the in crowd, if you're Hillary Clinton, if you're whomever, if you're connected, nothing happens to you. I'm saying this is the vibe, the impression that we get, that I get. But if you're a threat to, the established order, if you're a threat to the way things need to go back to, in some people's eyes, then boy, you get really scrutinized, and you get really punished by the DOJ, by the IRS, whatever.
You are a warrior. Doesn't this make your blood boil that your country, the one that you risked your life over in Iraq for, is actually taking away our rights, and not even a foreign source has attacked us yet, although they may.
Yeah.
Doesn't this make your blood boil?
I've been really discouraged the last 2 years, actually, and I'm more worried about my country than I ever thought I could be.
Yeah.
I think my fears as a kid. See, I was a kid, and when I grew up, I read a lot of books about I read a book. Reagan, right, was president. We talked about the Soviet Union, totalitarianism.
Right.
So I read about all that kind of stuff. It was interesting. It was interesting to me about how that could happen.
Yeah.
About how people could lay down, and totalitarianism could take over, and all my fears about the way that would happen. They're coming to pass.
They are.
So I'm bothered in a way I've never been bothered. And I don't precisely know what the way through it is. If it just gets worse, or maybe it gets better after November, I hope, right? But I also know that can I say something else? I was reading, and I was listening to podcasts about how that happens, about how the Soviet Union happens, about how Nazi Germany happens, how that happens.
So I've read about this too.
And there's one theory, which I don't subscribe to, I'll discount in a second. There's a theory that, it's just people being obedient, right? It's just a strong man that's forced them into. But there's another theory I've been reading more often. It's that the whole society became corrupt in the human heart because people just imbibed lies, and they never would say something they knew was true.
Right.
And so because they never stood up for what's true and what's right, their hearts just got more and more corrupted, like on a completely down to the individual level in society.
They gave up.
They gave up, but they also they gave into darkness, or so to speak, right? They gave into lie. And so when
you don't want to live like that, do you?
That's my whole point. I think we should.
I don't want to live like that. Do you want to live like that?
I think we kind of are. I mean,
do you want to live like that? No. Are you going to put up with that?
Well, people are so scared. So the problem is, if you say the truth, you go, "Hey, man, I want to ask some questions about the 2020 election."
Yeah.
I think that the FBI, and there are good FBI agents. I'm not saying like all FBI, but there's like from J. Edgar Hoover to the 60s to whatever. There are these serious abuses of power.
Let me stop you for a moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the oath of an FBI agent?
Yeah, to uphold the Constitution.
Okay, and what does that mean?
Yeah, that means...
what's the actual oath, do you know?
I don't know exactly how it goes.
What does it have to do with domestic enemies?
Yeah, against all enemies, foreign
and domestic.
Yeah.
And we got domestic enemies in this country, one of whom is a president.
I have it on the screen right there.
Yeah, all right. FBI, I swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Bingo.
And I will bear the true faith and allegiance to the same.
Yeah. And so you've got these whistleblowers now, thank God, that are coming out, and they're sending letters to people, to senators. I'm thinking of an older guy, Grassley.
Yeah, Chuck
He's
Grassley.
and also Johnson in
Ron
Wisconsin.
Johnson. Ron Johnson's great.
Yes, he is. And so, people are coming around in the FBI.
Well, I think that's their oath. That's their oath as they're speaking out.
Yeah, and I've been talking about that for years. How come you're not following your oath? You know this stuff is crooked.
Yeah.
I remember getting an interview with Ron Dermer, who was then the Israeli ambassador to the United States. It was a big deal. The rabbi got him for me in a Tulsa airport. And we had an FBI agent there who practically strip searched us. We had his security people there. And I'm talking to the FBI guy. This is about 2015, around when all this got started and there was rumors about Trump. And I said, what are you guys doing over there? I think maybe it might have been closer to the election. What are you guys doing? He kind of looked at me and said, he didn't want to talk about it.
Right.
But he knew what I was talking about.
I don't think every FBI agent's corrupt, but I think there are corrupt FBI agents. Yeah, but I think
they have an oath. They have an oath. But they sign off on an oath, and that's important.
Yeah, there are a couple examples. So when I was reading Harry S. Truman's biography, when he became president after Roosevelt died, the FBI director came into his office and said, Here's all the dirt we have on every congressman,
Yeah.
elected officials in the country. We listen to all their phone calls.
Right.
We could tell you who's cheating on their wife. We could tell you everything about it.
Yeah.
And you could use this to blackmail them into getting whatever you want.
Hoover.
Yeah. That was in 1944.
Right.
The FBI had listened to all the representatives' phone calls. And they had dossiers on every political official, how you could get at them to get them to do what they wanted.
Yeah.
That was in 1944.
Yeah. Did they give the same to Eisenhower?
See, that's what's interesting is I don't know what presidents did with that after that. I have no idea. But I know that in the biography of Truman, this incident happens and he talks about it, right?
Yeah.
And that Roosevelt, as some people think Roosevelt was great. And I think that, maybe there's some good, but there's a lot of bad.
Yeah.
But Roosevelt used it freely to get his legislation passed,
Sure
right?
did.
He would use these
He
blackmail
tried to expand the Supreme
PowerPoints.
Court, didn't he?
Yeah, well, that was. I mean, the argument about Roosevelt is he expanded federal power, executive power, administrative power hugely, right? He could be the father of the administrative state in America. And he did some things I definitely disagree with.
Yeah.
I mean, he did some, his World War II policy. He did some good things there, like whatever I think. But yeah, the powerful state and the I'm a king and not a president.
Yeah.
FDR was big on that too.
Yeah.
So, but it just, it kind of struck me, okay, there's an abuse of power then. That undermines democracy. That undermines, I get to elect my representative and they vote the way that I think that I want them to vote. And they vote consistent with their values, their integrity. Because I have these people who are pressuring them, right? Manipulating them.
Sure.
And they're consolidating power. And that's been going on for about 100 years.
It's interesting. I was in this position once as a representative of McDonald's advertising for about 6 states. And they, go to Chicago and have meetings and stuff like that. And I kept in touch with all my people and all my constituents. And occasionally I would vote against what I originally said I was going to do. And I would send out a message to all of them and tell them that I did this because of this reason.
Yes.
All right, something changed. And I couldn't wait and postpone the vote, so I voted the way I told you I was not going to vote. If anybody has a problem with it, you need to call me.
I'm the same way.
All right, and I would get 1 or 2 calls, and that was it.
I do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
If I encounter something that makes me think, okay, now I know this,
Yeah.
or this is part of the deal, I didn't get
and
it.
I don't get a chance. You don't get a chance to,
Right.
pause and do it, and then you actually agree with it.
Sure. I go, well, I didn't
Sure.
know about that. I didn't know
Right.
about this, whatever, the study
that-
you had that changed my mind.
That's a sign of a good legislator. Somebody's got to check with their bosses in the party,
right,
to know if something's right or wrong. That's not good.
No, and it's not practical for me to call. I can't call you every night and say,
Right.
I just read this article, Dave. Do you think I should change my mind about it? But I've got to do my diligence.
Sure.
But if I do change my mind, I owe you an explanation on the back end. So if you go, why did you vote this way, Bill? I owe you to be accountable to you to say,
sure.
Well, here's what was before me.
Yeah.
And this is what the knowledge that I had, and this is why we voted this
And that's
way.
why you ran unopposed in a primary, probably. Think about that.
It could be.
Yeah, because people know you're honest.
I shoot straight. There's some things the policy things I'm still thinking through.
Yeah.
I'm still learning. I was talking to my wife about that last night. I was like, I don't think I know everything about everything, but I want to learn. But I definitely want to be accountable. That's key.
You got to be. Yeah, you really should be accountable. I don't see that in Congress a lot. I don't see it on the Democratic side at all.
And
basically,
and back to our point about
sad.
Donald Trump. The point about him, and the FBI. The point about him was he defied all those things.
Yeah, well,
and he's just saying, "Hey, I told the people I'll do this. I'm going to do it." And that's it was so unusual, so anomalous, right?
Yeah, that it was so unusual. They tried to criminalize it when it actually was one of the best things that's ever happened to this country.
The 4 years of Donald Trump was pretty good for America.
Comparing it to this.
Well, and he's the purest we've had to true representation because he flat out said, "You elect me, here's what I'll do," and then he did it.
Yeah.
That's what they're supposed to be doing.
That's
yeah,
one thing I like about him.
I'm sure he's a pain in the ass sometimes, and that he probably overdoes the insults sometimes. But okay, the guy did a job. We hired him to do a job.
Right. He said he's
he
going to be
did a
tough
great
on
job.
China.
Let me get some of these messages here. Can you hang around? I got one more interview.
Yeah.
You got nothing better to do. You're unopposed. Anyways, Andrea Schrum, it is child criminal abuse to put your child in a test trial for an injection that killed all the specimens in animal trials. It's absolutely true. And also, I've been listening to the song The Impossible Dream, The Quest from the Man of La Mancha. We all need such a courageous heart in these times. I'm not all that familiar with it, but it sounds like it's a good one.
No, and I wanted to bring something to your attention. I sent
Yes.
this to you on Messenger because I saw this from somewhere else. This is a doctor, posted this on Twitter.
Yeah.
And again, this is an MD. And he's got a picture and it says, it's a lot easier to tell yourself you're a hero than it is to realize you've been complicit in the biggest fraud in history.
Right. Right.
That spoke volumes to me that an MD would have the guts to put that on his Twitter.
Yeah. Oh, I would say that's absolutely true. I mean, you go for the facts and you learn as much as you can, and you get yourself some concept of what really happens and what's really happening. You do a little studying, and all of a sudden I'm competing with doctors who are telling me the opposite of what I just read. In the New England, the New England Journal of Medicine. And speaking of the New England Journal of Medicine, look who walks in. Oh, gosh. Okay. All right. I shouldn't do that. That's just wrong. I apologize. All right. I have my next guest here. Let me introduce him. Okay. And it's a very interesting conversation, and I'm sure he won't mind you sitting in because he is a generous fellow. Play a song, please. I'm a South Florida lawyer, a man who realizes that it's better to be respected than liked. We were just talking about that. He's an expert at discerning politics and the law, star of TV, radio, podcast. Please welcome all the way from Boca Raton, Elad Hakim. Hi, Elad.
Hey, how are you?
What is it with you guys, you lawyers? You don't dress anymore or what? I've got Bill Hardwick in here. I don't know if you can see him or not. You can't see him, but you could probably hear him.
Hi, Bill.
Hello, Elon.
He's a lawyer, and he's also our representative here in Missouri. Is it 122?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 122, around Fort Leonard Wood area. And Elad's a lawyer in Boca Raton. He writes for a lot of. He writes for Epoch News. You were talking about that. And what do you write for?
Who do I write for?
Yeah.
I don't write for Epoch anymore, although Epoch is phenomenal. They do a great job. But I primarily do Right Side Broadcasting now and The New American. So, and then, of course...
And you've recently been with...
Dave Weinbaum.
Yeah, and thanks for mentioning me, by the way. I appreciate that. Every time you mention me, I smile. Okay?
That's good.
Because
I'm
you're a friend.
Loyal customer.
You're a mensch. Do you know what mensch means?
Mensch.
I don't.
It means friend. And don't tell anybody I swore on TV. All right, thank you, or on radio. Anyhow, so I said that this is for Elad, and you can both respond. I've said a window of opportunity won't open itself. How should Republicans take advantage of the 22 elections? Elad.
How should they...
take advantage of the 2022 elections. The
midterms.
midterms.
They can start off by getting off their butts and actually pushing back. You know, recently all we're seeing and all we're hearing are Democrat narratives. You know, we're hearing about the raid. We're hearing last night's despicable and vile speech. We're hearing false narratives about what MAGA Republicans and Republicans in general are trying to do to the country. So we're hearing false narratives. And, you know, I just finished a piece today on it, and I think it's going to come out today. And I think it's basically going to be how gullible are Americans? I mean, the midterms and the 2024 election is going to be based on how gullible are Americans, how much are Americans willing to listen to the lies that are being promoted now. And Republicans have to come out and forget about criticizing or focusing on Trump. Trump's not even on the ballot in 2022. They've got to stop focusing on Trump, and they've got to start showing Americans, listen, here's a little sheet. This is Biden's America, okay? And this is what's going to happen under Republican leadership, all right? And they need to show so Americans clearly understand. Otherwise, all Americans are getting now are false lies, and Republicans are kind of sitting idly by doing nothing. Can you imagine if a Democrat president had to went through a raid that President Trump went through? Can you imagine what would be happening now?
It doesn't happen. We
don't
know because it's never happened before.
It doesn't happen because we have a unfortunately we have a president and a DOJ that is using their power now as a political weapon against a political opponent.
Yeah.
So, but can you imagine?
I want to get his take on that too. Bill Hardwick.
I think Republicans need to pump the brakes on the Biden agenda, stop the bleeding. I think they need to investigate the things that we had questions about that we didn't get answers to. All this stuff, right? I think we need some clarity for the public's sake, and that's important for our country too.
Who's they?
Who's they? What do you mean they?
You said they should investigate
the Republicans.
Stuff.
The Republicans, if they take Congress,
if they take
Congress, they should ask some questions and give the public some answers.
Yeah, because
But that's only if they take Congress.
Right.
The question is, how do you get them over the hurdle? And right now, Americans are just being fed nonsense.
Yeah, you're right. They've got to have a counter answer. They've got to not get distracted.
You're writing about it. I've got a show. He's talking about it in Missouri. Listen, Democrats came out and said they hate Biden. 75% of them said that. Okay, recently. And so they can't all be that stupid, can they? That they're going to, yes? Okay.
I use gullible.
You used to be, yeah. Not anymore. I like that. You said.
I don't know, Dave. Listen, his approval rating was in the 30s, right? Then it went up to the 40s.
Yeah, do you believe that?
Why? Because he's for example, he's trying to convince Americans that the price of gas has gone down because of his policies. Okay. And look, I'm not an economist, and I'll leave it to your economists to talk about that. But based on what I've read, it has a lot to do with demand.
Yeah.
So if demand goes down, the price is going to go down. And from what I've read, and I just, I cited some study, the prognosis is that gas prices are going to go way back up again. And inflation is going to continue to go up because this administration spends like there's no tomorrow. They endlessly spend money that we don't have. So those kind of stories, those kind of quote unquote success stories are not really success stories. They're lies, but there's nobody pointing that out.
Well, we're doing it. And it's tough to do on social media because last week's show was just about totally banned. This week I think we're doing okay, but last week, no.
That's where we need true conservatives to stand up that are in Congress now, the few that we have, and actually start saying some of this, but they won't go against the grain.
You got to go through your basic, whatever you can do, you got to try to do it. You write, you show up on podcasts. You should probably have a book out there somewhere pretty soon. That's my advice to you. But Bill, what do you say about this?
Elon's right. Each time I've talked to him, I think his sights are right on. I mean, the Biden administration's solution is more spending. Spending's causing the inflation. The public sees it. There's something. I mean, they've got something to run on. They seem like they've got some energy to blunt the red wave. But that spending's going to cause inflation to get worse. So Republicans are sort of disoriented right now. Even after Dobbs, they don't know what to do exactly, and they need to get organized and get their message back on point because we got about 2 months left to decide whether or not we're going to stop what's happening or not.
So, Elad, do you think that the Dobbs case, was it Doe versus John Doe versus who? I don't know. Anyways, the abortion subject. Do you think that women are actually revolting, or is that a false narrative right now? Is it just one little race that happened, or is that an overwhelming demand that women want to be able to abort at any way, any time?
I don't think that the majority of Democrats agree with the extent to which the Democrats are pushing that.
Yeah.
Most Democrats, even if they opposed overturning Roe versus Wade, definitely don't agree for abortion, on demand up to birth or afterwards. Okay, like they wanted to pass in California. So, but again, keep in mind they are being passed. They are being told false narratives. Biden came out yesterday, for example, and said, MAGA Republicans want to eliminate contraception. They want to eliminate the right to choose. That's nonsense. There are some states that are trying to pass, anti-abortion laws, but that doesn't speak for all of America. There are a large number of states that also have limitations or that have no bans. And, but again, he has the biggest audience, and Republicans, not people like me. I don't have a big enough reach. We need people who have a big, reach, the people who we're voting for, to come out and push back and say that is nonsense. But not only, it's one thing to give your opinion. It's another thing to show facts, to, lay out the decision in Dobbs. Show people this is what the Supreme Court said.
Right.
It's not like I'm coming out and saying this is my opinion. This is the truth. Look, this is inflation. This is the inflation rate. This is the job numbers.
Yeah.
This is the price of gas. People have to see it. People are visual learners. They have to see and to be told what is happening. Right now, all they're being told is Republicans are evil and we're fascists.
Yeah, we're fascists. How you like that? You're Jewish. I'm Jewish. You're a fascist. Did you know that?
It's a despicable, vile speech that he gave last night.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I don't see how he wins with this. I just wonder about him ramping up some of the idiots in his party to come looking for us. You know what I'm saying? That sounds.
Well, that's the danger. That's the danger of a speech like that. He's talking about being a uniter. That is uniting.
Yeah, right. So Drudge has become a cauldron of Trump hate. And it used to be reasonably fair. I mean, you still can get a story or two out of there, but they're showing him in the orange suits and things like that. Have you noticed that, Bill?
I have. Yeah, I have. I have. Drudge seemed like it transformed during the Trump administration.
Exactly.
And in 2020 turned on him, and now it's pretty.
Is this
pretty
the same
anti-Trump.
guy? Is it somehow he got bought out by the government or what?
Yeah, I think there's some management ownership changes that happened in Drudge. I'm not really sure about that. So I don't want to speak to it because I'm not intelligent on that issue. But Drudge is definitely different. Yeah. And I still go to Drudge because I want to kind of see what's up. But but the tone of it's a lot different than it was when he was fighting the man. Right now, it seems like he's corroborating with the man.
What do you think about these sites that switch from reasonable to totally anti-Trump, Elad?
Well, I think that, it's unfortunate, and I don't know what to do it. Part of it might be fear of being shut off. But I'll tell you something interesting. Did you see what came out recently with Discovery and Facebook?
Yes.
And so I think that to answer your question, some people might be, some sites might be worried about the indirect effects or the direct effects of supporting Trump. So,
are you talking about? Wait a minute, about Facebook? Are you talking about the Rogan show and Bill? What's his name? Zuckerberg admitting that the FBI convinced him to stop talking about or put the algorithms against the Hunter Biden laptop?
That is part of it. There. I think the Attorney General in Missouri I think that aren't you guys part of a lawsuit against the Biden administration?
For part of like
Eric Schmidt. Yep.
Yeah, Eric Schmidt.
If
Right.
I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
they got a court order allowing them, basically forcing Facebook or Twitter, I can't remember who it was, I think one of the media giants, to disclose the relationships, basically communications between them and the Biden administration. And I saw on Twitter yesterday, aside from what Zuckerberg came out, there are email exchanges apparently on a weekly basis between Facebook and the Biden administration. And why is that important? It's important because although that particular lawsuit is not against any of these social media giants, these social media giants in the past have relied on, the absence of First Amendment scrutiny because they are private entities, right?
Yeah.
And the standard to become part of the government, so to speak, as if you're working on behalf of the government where First Amendment scrutiny would apply, is very high. And I don't have the specific language in front of me, but these types of emails and this type of communication begins to, cause further investigation, because you begin to wonder, are they actually acting on behalf of a state? And if so, does the First Amendment apply here?
I think that's right.
Yeah. Bill has a lot to say about that.
No, I agree. The case law about at the behest of the government. There's a case law on government. There's a case on government action I recall from law school using the word consanguinity when the government knew that they would take those ideas and run with it. When the government is encouraging or saying you should do this, then the private entity becomes an agent of the government, and that implicates the First Amendment. So you're exactly right. I mean, the libertarian argument, the conservative argument's always been like, well, it's a private company. They're not subject to the First Amendment. But as soon as the government's directing their actions, then now we have the problem that conservatives have also warned about, which is they're just an extension of government power, using it to suppress their political enemies.
And Clarence Thomas is asking for that to come before the Supreme Court. Did you know that?
Well, he issued an opinion, I don't want to call it an opinion. He issued a statement in response, a couple statements, but the most recent one was in response to a case that the Supreme Court refused to take up. And it was involving Facebook and I think some sort of sexual assault or something like that. And Thomas basically said, look, I appreciate Section 230, but Section 230 needs to be revisited because there are instances where these social media networks, for example, know that there are certain risks or know that certain things are going on and just turning a blind eye to them. And in cases like that, for example, you can't just turn around and seek immunity based on Section 230. So, yes, he has pushed for it. It technically should come from Congress. Congress should be the ones to revise Section 230. But Thomas went ahead and said, look, if the right case comes before us and Congress refuses to act, then the Supreme Court should act on it. We'll see what happens with that. But this Facebook, this thing out of Missouri, that's important. It'll be interesting to see where this gets, because to get the actual communications between some of these social media giants and the administration, that could get somewhere.
Well, Eric is now running for senator from Missouri, and hopefully he'll win and become a real staunch senator like one we already have, Josh Hawley, and others who are stalwart, Grassley and Johnson and people like that. So let me ask you this, Bill. Trump, does he get indicted?
If you made me pick, I think he probably does get indicted at this point. I think that's where it's leading toward.
Elad, does he get indicted?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, possibly. Although I think it's a real risk to indict him based on what they're alleging.
A risk for who?
It's a risk for Garland. This is not what we have so far. Is pure nonsense. Okay, this is nonsense.
You've had that for 6 years now.
This is nonsense. This is a general warrant that was issued by a biased judge.
Right.
Okay, on a.
Wait a minute. I heard he's your drinking buddy. Is he from Boca?
Who's that?
The judge.
Oh, yeah, no.
Right.
No, I used the term biased judge because he recused himself not too long ago from a civil suit involving Trump. And, a lot of it is going to revolve around the Presidential Records Act and what exactly is what's protected and what's not. But I think Andy McCarthy recently came out with an article saying that they've set up a pretty good case of obstruction against the former president. But I'll tell you what, Mike Davis, who's very smart guy, came out and said, how can you obstruct a non-crime? You can't obstruct something that's not a crime to begin with. So we'll see. Look, I think they'd love to indict him. I think it's risky politically, especially with the Clinton and other standards that they set previously. And interestingly, Dave, the Presidential Records Act, the argument is that it protects presidents, but it doesn't protect people like Clinton who wasn't president.
That's right.
If you're going to go ahead and let her go, how dare you go after a president?
Yeah, I don't recall her house being searched. Do you? No, I don't think that happened.
I don't think that you should indict him constitutionally on the search warrant, but I think that he will be. I think those are two different things now, and that's the problem.
See, I think they might go that far because I think they're that desperate.
Well, now you're dug in.
And now, let's say he's indicted. Let's say he's convicted. That's probably not going to happen within the time of the. Well, it might happen.
But that's the point, isn't it? So he can't run for president.
Yeah. Can he run for president
if he has a felony conviction? That's correct. He would disqualify him.
Would that disqualify him?
I don't
think so.
That's its own case because Article 2 has its own qualifications in the Constitution, right? So that's its own Supreme Court challenge.
All right. What do you think, Elad?
A felony would not disqualify him. Yeah. The Constitution is very, very clear on what the requirements are for president. And even somebody, there's historical precedent that people with felony convictions have run for president.
Right.
Now, if he is convicted of something like sedition or, a few of the other things mentioned in the Constitution that would disqualify him from holding public office, then it becomes more dicey. But if they charge him, indict him, convict him, depending on what the nature of the crime, he can still run, and he could still win.
I agree with that.
And that's what drives him nuts.
I think that's why the Constitution is written that way. It's very clear, 35, natural-born citizen. I think that there are a lot of people who see the statutes that say if you do this, you're convicted of this, you're disqualified for any office statutorily, and they're hoping that disqualifies him. That's the idea. But I think what happens is, let's just play this out, legal gamesmanship. Let's say he's convicted of it, he runs. Now he's a martyr, he's empowered. Then there's a suit to keep him off the ballot. There's a challenge. He sues, and now we have a whole new case on this, which would be pretty interesting. I think. I think something like that could happen.
So what you're saying is the Constitution makes it pretty easy to be qualified to run for president, and there's no exceptions to that. Is there?
So the argument, and I agree exactly with what Elon said, is that Article 2 says here's the standards to become president.
Yeah.
And I can't write a statute that overrides the Constitution.
Exactly.
And I can't take away the states and the people's ability to pick their chief executive.
Right. Maybe did they do that? Were they that wise?
They were very
wise to figure
wise.
that out.
Early
on.
I think the Constitution was written just for this particular time in history. Now.
Yeah. Amazing. What do you say about that, Elad?
Yeah, I agree 100%. There are clear prerequisites. This is it. You can't add. Remember, it's different for federal and state. For example, in the state system, the state determines, the time, manner, method of elections. The state legislatures are elected. So it's different if you're talking about state government as opposed to federal government. The Constitution is speaking about federal, the president of the United States. So you cannot then go ahead and try to pass a law that adds requirements or changes the substantive requirements of the Constitution, and that's the argument that no, you can't do that, and I don't think that the statute one of the statute they cited, I don't think that's going to hold water if they try to prevent Trump from running.
Well, we know Trump wants to run. We're pretty sure about that, although he hasn't declared. Who is his vice president? Who does he run against?
So knowing that these predictions are wrong, how about that? How about you caveat that? There's no way I can possibly know that.
Wait a minute. No, Dick Morris.
Dick Morris is not going to be his running mate.
Dick Morris has the answer. Okay, he has the answer. Yes, Trump is running. running, and it's not going to be Kamala. It's not going to be Biden. It's going to be Hillary, because they can't let Bernie run. They can't let Warren run. They can't let AOC run and figure they. So what they come down with is that Hillary may lose in the primaries, but the super electors will get her the nomination. And according to Dick Morse, Trump annihilates her. Okay? So, you want to pitch in?
I'll take a Hillary-Trump rematch. I'll take it if that's what happens. I mean, that's fine by me.
Elad?
I would take it. I'd be shocked if Democrats.
Well, who would they run against them? They can't run Kamala.
I would love. I think Trump needs to pick a woman to if he decides to run, to be his running mate.
Is it your wife, Dr. Amy?
Just get back to your original question, Dave, about what can Republicans do? They can emulate Ron DeSantis.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ron DeSantis here in Florida takes no crap, okay, from anybody. All right, and he has a message. He fights for his message. He doesn't back down, and that's what you need now, okay?
But the last time I looked, he's not a woman, so you're conflicting.
No. I'm not saying Trump should elect him. I'm saying you asked me what can Republicans do to help secure 2022. Be like Ron DeSantis. Be tough.
Oh, be like Ron. Okay. Oh, no, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, stand for something.
No, yeah. I don't think that Trump and DeSantis should run together.
Okay.
Nor do I think DeSantis.
So, which woman would you pick currently to be the vice president? Oh wait, we got a producer here with an answer.
To me, the clear choice is Candace Owens.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
That's she's it.
I was thinking that too. She's pretty sharp. Maybe not totally sharp, but she's pretty sharp. And what do you think of her, Candace Owens?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not.
I've seen her shred congressmen into embarrassing silence when she's being questioned by Democrats. I've seen that. She's sliced and diced them in a nice way, but she's done it.
She's an intelligent black female who's a mom. She knows she has a perfect stand on all the issues, and she's not afraid to voice it to anybody.
She would probably go to the southern border.
Do you think she'd be allowed to answer anything?
What's that?
What do you mean, answer anything?
She wouldn't be. I mean, talking about shredding this and that. Republicans aren't even allowed to answer any questions during debates.
Well, she can be more like Trump and just force her way through and just not even pay attention to him anyway.
Yep. Yeah, I think she can take him on. Personally, I think it would be a good pick. It's a little bit of a stretch. She's pretty young, but okay. But she's black, in case you didn't notice, and she's attractive. She's a mother, and she's tough.
By the way, Trump did actually fared pretty well with the black vote when he ran because
I know
he
scared
helped
and
them.
okay.
Not to mention the Latin Hispanic vote did well. It's women. He doesn't do well with sectors, certain parts of the female, with certain women and. Look,
I heard he's made out pretty good. No, I shouldn't say that. That's terrible.
I don't know.
Oh, that's wrong. I apologize. That was in his younger days. Yeah, okay, I got crickets.
I'm concerned about the midterms.
Yeah.
If you asked me 3 months ago, I was like, wow, it should be, tsunami. But I'm concerned.
Are you paying attention to the polls? Is that what you're doing?
I'm paying attention to the energy. Not as much the polls.
He's right.
The energy. It's all like, where is the Republican leadership? Where are they?
Well, Mitch McConnell is hiding in his shell, the turtle, and you know why he's doing that? It's because he doesn't want these Trump-backed senators in there because they'll kick him out.
Trump, right on. He said Republicans don't know how to fight. They don't.
Of course they don't.
And we're seeing it now. The energy. Did you look at for example, the turnout during the primaries? For example, the turnout in Florida, Charlie Crist, the turnout was incredible in certain parts of Florida for Charlie Crist. if Republicans
And
don't,
he's terrible.
and we have like a 250,000 plus registered voter advantage now in Florida. If they don't come out, all right, it's going to be a potential problem.
Could be.
You can't just sit there and assume that some of these Democrats are going to vote against.
All right, closing statements. Got about 15 seconds each.
Yeah, he's right. Republican voters see something to vote for. That means Republican politicians and candidates have to stand for something.
You got 4 seconds left. No. Elad, hit it.
He's right. 100% right. Agree. Couldn't agree more.
There's no sucking up on this show. Come on. All right. All right. Hey, listen, guys, this is great, okay? Thank you so much, both of you, and we're about 30 seconds away from being off the air. So thank you so much. Hi to Amy and the kids. Shabbat shalom. Thank you, Bill
guys.
Hardwick.
Be well.
Thank you. All right, take care. Listen, thank everybody for listening to the show. I thought it was a great show. Thanks for my guests. Wow. I love this stuff, having two lawyers here and answering questions. Anyhow, we'll be back next week with another edition of the